everyone, and welcome to the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. I'm Women's National Master Anna Kazani, and today I'm joined by Grandmaster Irina Krush. Irina, how are you feeling about today's match?
Well, I am super excited about this match, Anna. This has actually been the match I'm looking forward to the most. It is a quarterfinals match in the Women's Speed Chess Championship between Valentina Gunina and Tan Zhangyi. Tan just played her match against Polina Shuvalova a couple of days ago. She won a really smooth, convincing match. And Gunina, of course, was dominant in her match against Elizabeth Patz. So I find like these players played the best in the round of 16. And so their matchup between each other contains a lot of intrigue.
Sounds amazing. Now let's have a look at the format of this event, because the Speed Chess Championship has a quite unique format. We have a time controls of 5+1, 3+1, and 1+1. And the 5+1 portion lasts for 90 minutes, 3+1 lasts for 60 minutes, and then 1+1 lasts for 30 minutes. So that's quite a lot of chess. And obviously the points, the winner, the person that has the most points throughout the entire match will win the match. So yeah, there will be a lot of games, a lot of excitement. Now let's have a look at the prizes of this event. We have a total of $65,000, and today's winner will go home with at least $2,000. And there's also an additional prize fund for the rest that will be divided by the win percentage. So a lot of prizes, Irina.
Yep, definitely. This prize fund is the highest for any online women's speed chess tournament, and it's only getting better year after year. So, in terms of the bracket, we are now moving into the top 8. We started out with 16 players. We actually have one match still left to be played from the round of 16, and that is between Hao Yifan, Carissa Yip. It's been just tricky to schedule. Actually, Carissa is playing the U.S. Junior Championship right now in St. Louis. So we don't know exactly when that match is going to be, but we're moving on with the other matches, and they're possible to schedule as both players are available. So we got Gunina versus Tan today. We're going to have Humpy versus Logno. Two very strong players. Katerina Logno, a women's world blitz champion in the past, I think even several times. Humpy Kineru has played for the women's world championship title, a match. The first woman actually after Judith Polgard to cross 2,600 in the FIDE ratings. So
wow.
Yeah, that's a match between two heavyweights. And then, Anna, we got a match between Harika Dronavali, one of India's, best players after Humpy for years now, and against up and coming player Vaishali, who beat the current women's world blitz champion Bibisara Sobayeva in the first match in the Women's Speed Chess Championship. So it's a lot of excitement here.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to see those matches develop. And well, we don't know for sure which player today's winner will be facing, because as you mentioned, there's still a lot of matches to be played. But for sure, we are looking at an exciting matchup. And I'm honestly, I wouldn't be able to pick a favorite. Both players are extremely strong. Tan Zhangyi is a former women world chess champion, and Valentina Gunina is also women's world champion in, I believe it was Blitz or Rapid, if I remember correctly. It was either of them. So both players are really strong, and I'm really curious to see how they will play today in the Speed Chess Championship format. They haven't played against each other on chess.com just yet, so this match will definitely give a lot of excitement today.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's hard for me to predict who is a favorite here. I mean, like watching their matches, I commentated on both of them. They both had very good days of chess. I mean, Valentina won her match with a large margin, right? 25 points. It was pretty huge. Tan's margin was more, modest, 17-10, as we saw. But I don't feel like, that is going to really have any bearing on their results against each other. Like from what I could tell from Tan's quality of play, like if she holds the quality that she showed against Shuvalova, she's going to be a very tough opponent for Gunina today. Her calculation is good. Her opening prep was good. She's not, she's not too slow. She is, very good speed of play, is pretty good in those critical seconds. So it's interesting to see also what openings they're going to be playing against each other. Tan stuck to 1e4 against Shuvalova. And what's interesting is like, I was a little surprised by that because I kind of had this vague memory that Tan was a D4 player, and I just checked it today. And she actually used to play D4 a lot. So it's interesting she made the switch to E4. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, the game has actually just started. The first game of this matchup. Let's have a look. And the game started as a Queen's Gambit declined.
Okay, so Gunina going to D4, that is definitely something that that she's capable of doing. She's also an E4 player, right? So either of these players can show us E4 or D4. And so here we are in some theory right now. Let's see what line it was. So Queen's Gambit declined, classical Queen's Gambit, Bishop E7. Okay, Gunina plays the Bishop F4 line, C5, DC. So instead of the move A3 here, which actually I think I played in my last time having this position as white in the last year's US Women's Championship, Gunina traded on D5. That's another line, giving black an isolated pawn. And here we are. Interesting that Gunina decides not to trade the bishops, which is kind of white's idea usually when they're playing against the isolated pawn, to trade pieces. Right. And she decides to go bishop G5. I suppose, threatening to take the knight and then this pawn.
Right. And the pawn was under attack and white could actually capture it. But if we have a look at the analysis, because I think knight takes d5 was interesting, but it wasn't quite working. I think the position would have been equal in the end. So yeah, if we go have a look a move before this, knight takes d5 here. I believe the line goes knight takes d5, queen takes d5, and you can take on f4, and then continue with bishop takes h2.
Oh, you got this nice intermediate capture, which wins you back the pawn, right? So yeah, black is all right here. I mean, yeah, white is maybe slightly preferable because the e pawn is preferable to the h pawn, but it's really not a big advantage. So, I guess the one thing that really kind of surprised me, like I said, was that, white refrained from that move, which I would have played that kind of easily. I would be like, oh, you want to trade pieces with me when you have the isolated pawn? Sure, let's do it. Probably trade. And actually, yes, like this move, knight d4, just blocking the isolated pawn, offering more trades. Obviously, I mean, black is definitely not going to make that second trade, as that only helps white. But, I think this makes sense. We take the square under control, so we don't have to worry about knight g4. And yeah, it's a pretty stable position, maybe knight a4 next, knight c5, kind of a typical maneuver there. But Gunina, yeah, she decides not to trade the bishops. I would say that's a pretty important decision. Now we have more moves coming in. So b3 by white. Wow, b3. I have to say this seems like an extraordinarily ugly move for these positions, Anamaya, because I mean, you're like weakening the a3 square. It's not like, it's not like you've got a bishop on b2 fianchettoed, right? So unless you have a bishop on b2, this move b3 should be quite weakening and giving black counterplay.
It doesn't really do much either. Typically, a move like a3 at least, stops any sort of knight b4 or bishop b4 moves. That could be annoying, but I'm not sure what the idea is behind b3. So let's see if she has a plan behind this move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming the plan must have been to take on f6 and after queen takes to grab that pawn without losing the b2 pawn. That must have been the
Mm.
point. But I mean, yeah, like in these positions, this square is just too valuable. And black could have even like attacked the rook right away, tried to force it off the file. Actually, probably would have been my choice because, rook c2, I don't know, you got to deal with bishop f5 ideas. But okay, she played bishop e7, tan also totally fine, just protecting this pawn. So, okay, let's see if we can catch up with the players. They made a lot of moves, so these moves kind of self-explanatory. There you go. There goes the a3 square. This is why we don't weaken that square. Queen e7. I mean, this is totally working out for black. Now their rooks can go to d8, c8, bishop f5, knight b4, knight e4. There's going to be lots of ideas for black here.
Mm-hmm.
Was the move knight d4? Ooh, knight d4 was apparently some sort of a mistake to this. Why is it so bad? Is it like rook c8
Perhaps there's some
coming?
rook c8 and knight e4 moves, and
Yeah.
this rook on d2 is terrible. Like it's nice that it's on the d file, but it has 0 squares to go to, so that's the problem.
Yep. I mean that move b3 was just like really not the best for white's position. But okay, tan missed her opportunity basically to win the game. I mean, it's kind of amazing, right? That this move was already just winning because it's so difficult for white to hold that knight and hold the e4 square. It looks downright impossible. I suppose you have knight b1. Yeah, there you go. But like then there's rook c1 and the queen is trapped.
Yeah, that hurts quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a relevant line. All right, so this happened. Okay, maybe white's position is actually improving a bit, now that she takes away that knight b4 idea. Okay. Finally, we're back to that bishop trade. Now Gunina says yes to it. Maybe queen d4. No, she went knight c3. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe this move to stop c5 would be also coming to my mind. So she went knight c3, c5, knight a4, rook a c8.
Yeah, just developing.
Position is, starting to get more normal, more balanced. So where are we here? Okay, we caught up to them. Anamaya. Yeah, I know that took some time.
It's all good. But yeah, I believe you can just take on c4 now. Tactically, like you can take with the knight on c4. There we go. And yeah, this position seems okay. I guess like you can take the pawn on a2, but for some reason it feels like you can survive here. Like queen f4, you attack the bishop on f5, and I'm not sure if this a pawn is going anywhere. Like so many trades have happened, and equal material will arise after queen takes a2. So.
Yeah, I mean, black is doing fine here. I would say definitely at the moment the draw looks like the most probable result. Actually, I mean, I don't know. I guess bishop e6 is a bit more of an ambitious move because in some cases this bishop can sort of help the pawn promote. Whoa.
Bishop takes h3. Wow.
Wow, interesting stuff. Wait, so black has just grabbed a free pawn and black is up a pawn. Can this pawn get captured or is that too dangerous tactically? So Valentina does take it. I mean, I suppose she has to look at like rook b4 here.
Right, it looks really dangerous. But I guess after rook b4, there's at least rook c1. But knight e5 is also pretty annoying.
Yeah, right now black has some sort of initiative. Whoa, apparently that's a losing move. Knight c3.
Wow. Oh, and you capture the bishop on e2, obviously, and you open up the diagonal for the bishop on e6. Will she spot
Quite a nice move. I mean, she kind of has to. It's sort of an obvious move, right? Yeah. Tan, 1 minute down on the clock, but that fast move by Gunina may cost her. This is actually very interesting, right? I mean, it's a big time advantage, but the move itself was a blunder. And now the knight is hanging. And if you move the knight, the problem is that I'm taking with check, you take and queen d1. So that's why you can't just easily move the knight out from this attack.
Right, and obviously if you move the bishop, you lose the knight on c4 regardless. So what a nice spot by Tan.
Yeah, that knight on c3 is quite a fine looking knight. And the problem is, like, even sacrifices like that don't really save white, because I can just take on e2 and then even take on c4. You're going to have like 2 rooks hanging. So now Gunina has caught up with her on the clock, and she recognizes the difficulty of the position, that she's now basically dropping a piece right here on c4.
Right, I have a feeling that she is trying to make use of the pieces stacked on the c file. So she plays rook c6, attacking both pieces, but it should not be enough. There is a lot of ways for black to defend this. But actually, you're not able. Are you able to take on f1 like regardless?
She found a really nice, she found a really nice idea. Well, yeah, taking on f1 is maybe the one move that wasn't winning, right? Because after rook c3,
right,
white actually would have won back that bishop after the queen moves away. But Tan finds a great move here, queen b2.
Wow.
Threatening knight e2 discovery. Like I said, Tan is really sharp tactically, right? She doesn't have a lot of time, but her accuracy has been really good.
She is on point with the tactics. Really impressive. And now the knight on c3 is obviously under attack, so you either move it or you defend it, but moving would make her life much more easier. Especially now that queen's defended by the rook, she could just move the knight anywhere.
Yeah, nice start to the match by Tan. I mean, right now she's up a clear piece and she's ahead on the clock, so I assume this is not going to be very problematic for her. Oh, rook h6 was rook h6 just. Oh no, she attacked 2 rooks, so there was no time for that.
Oh right, yeah, queen b5 was also attacking the rook on f1. That's actually crazy.
yeah, that was a sneaky move. All right, there's still some tricks here. Oh, okay.
Oh, she traced the queen for the 2 rooks. I mean, obviously black should still be winning, but it's not so simple.
Yeah, pretty easily, right? Black will just double up.
Right.
You made a good call. She made a good call. A little bit on, surprising decision, but 2 knights and two rooks and a knight definitely dominate the queen here, because black's king is completely safe. So Tan starts out with a win.
Very strong one too.
Yeah, that was a good game, and she could have even, she even had winning chances earlier. So Animal 44425 says love this game. These 2 players are going to be very competitive with each other. And by the way, so Tan, she tested Shuvalova in the Caracan, and Valentina Gunina is also a Caracan player. So they're actually sticking with that opening. I mean, in a way, it's nice for Tan because she just got a lot of practice with it, but maybe Gunina has looked at those games and has some special preparation.
Yeah, it looks like the players are really well prepared. I mean, they've barely spent time in the opening. The time spending starts around the middle game stage. So that's already very promising, because in this format, you really need to have your opening set and ready, so you at least have some speed early on.
Yeah, interesting move, bishop e3. I mean, kind of taking advantage of the fact that I guess black cannot really take this pawn, because you trade the knights and then you do a discovery with bishop takes b6. So you're trying to trade the dark squared bishop, leaving black with just that light squared bishop. So black logically declines that trade. Now you got to support your pawn, f6. I mean, that's a big move, right? That is an introduction of a change in the pawn structure. You are basically trying to get a center that can move forward and be very powerful. So now we're getting some pretty big changes on the board. White takes the knight in order to keep control over this square, and just simply plays a positional move, c3. Actually, I like white. There was apparently some very tricky move, rook f5, like trying to kick out
Mm-hmm.
that knight to get the pawns moving, which Valentina did not find, not that surprisingly, because it looks like it hangs the g6 pawn, so it wasn't, the most obvious move by any means. But here, let's see where they are. I mean, I like whites, right? This seems to be, except wait, wait. So there's tactics coming,
Ah,
Valentina.
rook takes f6. That was the f2. I was considering queen f6, but rook takes f2 is obviously more direct than winning the pawn right away.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty common tactic in the French defense. I mean, less so the Caracan, but I've seen this in the French.
It looks more like the French because the bishop is still on c8, and typically in the Caracan the bishop is out.
Exactly.
So yeah, this pawn structure is very exciting. Like black has the center, but this knight versus bishop can be really annoying for the bishop. But seems like Valentina is handling it very well so far.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. Black is up a pawn. On the other hand, white's pieces, pawn structure are better. Now she's offering a queen trade. Yeah. So the question for white, does white take? Yeah, she took, and probably like knight d4 or rook d2. So I see one thing that white really wants to do on Amaya, and that's to put the king on e3. It's a really very powerful square for the king, attacking and blocking the pawn.
Yeah, because of the lack of development of black, it's going to be really difficult to deal with the position. I mean, now you get to play bishop b7, but it feels already like way too late. Like, I guess, yeah, you have I was thinking bishop d5, yeah, because now you have the time to play this move, and it's not so clear for white what to do. I mean, you can get the king to e3, but what is next?
Yeah, so I think rook f2 will happen, right? And okay, so tricky thing for white is that their knight has trouble moving, maybe because of the a2 pawn, right? So she goes to c1.
Yeah, it seems like
both players have a lot of time, right, Anamaya? I mean, this late in the game, they're already in the end game. They still have a ton of time.
They play really fast, which is really promising for the entire match throughout.
Yep. It means that, we'll see a lot of the games like getting to the interesting parts with both players still having some time, right? They're definitely, I think, the fastest players we've seen so far in the women's beach chess championship. Well, I'll be honest, I didn't commentate on the match between Katerina Lagno and Vantika Agarwal, so I don't know how fast Lagno was in that match. Actually, you commentated.
I'm trying to remember. I can't recall exactly. I think I think it was I don't think it was this good. I can tell you that.
Okay, there you go.
I can tell you that. I don't think their time management was the greatest, but I don't remember if it was like really like something significant.
Yeah. So what can we say here? I mean, in a way, it's easier to play for whites. I think more accuracy is required from black, because if black trades the rooks, for example, I mean, well, they would be just strategic trouble. Their bishop is not the best. Their pawn structure is not the best. They got two sets of doubled pawns. I mean, right now, white is thinking. I kind of wonder what she's thinking about. I thought like h3 is just obvious. I mean,
maybe she doesn't want to allow g4 so that black gets rid of the double pawn structure somehow. But even then, if you play g4, you allow almost like king f4, knight f4, and the pieces start to come in.
I wonder if she's thinking about g3, but I mean,
could be.
that gives more ideas of the rook coming back to f3 one day. So to me, like h3 is just an automatic. I just can't see her really doing something else, and she's really taking her time there, Tan. Wow. I mean, sure, she has time, but like now it's going to be 2 minutes between her and Valentina.
Yeah, that's obviously a little bit worrying. But yeah, it seems like the position is not too complicated that you should be too worried about this time difference. Wow. But yeah, 2 minutes is quite a lot. Knight g3.
It's interesting that she decided, like, because that's a lot of time. Like, I mean, to spend on something as simple as that, like she played h3, and she's going to play h3 anyway, right? Yeah. So like, was it worth it spending so much time on such a like not a very consequential decision? I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not very practical.
yeah, because now, I mean, actually, she doesn't have a lot of time. Maybe it would have been fine if Valentina is also under a minute, but like almost 3 minutes difference. I mean, now Tan is gonna have to be careful.
Yeah, 92 has been played now. She's trying to maneuver their knight to a more comfortable spot. Now, the problem is she wants to play king d4 at some point, but then e3 might follow, and then the bishop can capture the pawn g2, so it's a bit difficult to improve the position, at least for the king.
Yeah, I mean, she's playing it well. Like I can say her position is good. I don't like this king so much on g6 because now it's a lot harder to play g4 because of knight f4. I definitely like the knight coming back here. The rook is getting active. That looks very wrong. Rook h6, just like, no. I don't even have to like really think about that move to know that this rook shouldn't be there. I don't know what the move should have been for black, but it's just quite obvious that that rook move is very awkward. Maybe she's trying to go for g4, king g5, like some sort of counterplay, but now black is really kind of desperate for counterplay. Actually, white is preparing just c4 and pushing that pawn.
Yeah, and yeah, perhaps she's thinking of moves like king f7 and then e5, and the rook is controlling the sixth rank, defending the a6 pawn, but obviously yeah, there's different reasons, probably, but she goes for the move g4, and let's see if it can help her out in this position, because it's not looking great now as white is becoming very active now with h6 g4, and now like the knight and the king have more access squares.
Yeah, but notice that this rook cannot come to c1, so she can't put the rook behind the passed pawn. Actually, black's bishop is just getting dominated. Is she losing her bishop? I mean, this is funny because it's not just the pawn is going. It's like, is this bishop actually trapped? I think it is, right? Because, well, bishop b7, okay, maybe you can still go rook b1. Okay. I mean, you got to go rook b1. What else can you do? I mean,
yeah, the bishop is surviving, but I'm not sure for how long because the c pawn is pushing simply.
Yeah, okay, maybe she shouldn't have let him out to d5, right? She maybe forgot about that a little bit. Oops. Yeah, that was a big blunder, I think, by Tan. Blunder, yeah, that wasn't great. That wasn't great by any means. Now Gunina has a real chance to show some skills. Yeah, look at that. Now it's unfortunate the rook is behind the pawn. Bishop's kind of more or less active. She definitely blundered, like letting that bishop come out to d5.
Yeah, it's so obvious like that you want to push the passed pawn, but indeed allowing bishop d5 is a bit too much. So yeah, this now the pieces are being traded off, and the pawns will also get traded, and it should get to a draw. But I feel like Valentina still has some chance to complicate things at least.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Tan is doing. Whoa!
Oh, wait, she forgot about the rook.
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh no, she completely forgot to move the rook.
Oh man, yeah, you can see the shock on her face. Wow. Wow.
That's a really unfortunate series of events.
Coming back to win that game. I mean, look, I mean, she was doing well, but then at some point not so well, and then she was the one playing for a draw, and she just got a really big gift of that rook. So she takes a 2-0 lead, and Valentina is back with d4. Here we go, Queen's Gambit again. This time Valentina pushes the pawn instead of pawn e3. That's kind of an early pawn push. It sort of breaks the rules of chess a bit, right? Like to push the pawn in instead of just doing development. I'm not actually familiar with that move that early.
Yeah, it can be quite annoying for black. White is getting so much advantage regarding the space, but it's really difficult for black to actually like counter this. Like, how do you deal with that? It's not like you try with a5 and what happened in the game, but it's not enough because the pawn is still on c5, and white is just like controlling the open files for the moment.
Yeah, I like bishop a6 here, just kind of developing the final piece. And it's the worst piece for black in these positions. I mean, at some point, white has to get this king out of the center, right? You're basically going like, queen a8 at some point, rook b8. I mean, okay, without hanging the c7 pawn. But yeah, to me, bishop a6 looks really natural. This move is also interesting. This is about basically, ooh, g3. I
Wow.
don't know about that. I think Valentina is playing a little too much with fire. I mean, she's gonna definitely get that bishop captured. Well, at least I think, I think there's other options, but taking the bishop is certainly very natural. I guess there is g5. I guess Tan could really think about this move. All right, so she goes here. It makes sense. I mean, you're attacking the pawn. In some cases, you might want to play e5.
Right.
E3 looks extremely bad, right? I mean, you got to sort of deal with g5, but maybe white will just move the bishop to e5.
Yeah, and
Um,
as you mentioned, this idea with moving the bishop out and the queen out to a8 and then with the rook to b8. Now, after knight h5, you can actually capture this bishop and you can consider playing this plan out. And let's see if she will take the bishop now because she doesn't have to. This bishop is not going anywhere, but so does the knight. It's stuck on h5, and I would be slightly concerned about it getting trapped, but she goes for g5. Ooh.
and Valentina immediately, answers with bishop b5, which I think is the best move. That was a really strong counterattack, and she just played it instantly. I guess the idea is to get rid of the knight so that you can then play bishop e5. That must be the point. But yeah, somehow this has worked out more or less okay for white. Yeah, because this bishop is still on. I was just pointing to him on c8. Now he just went to a6. A very unusual position these players have reached. I mean, Valentina's speed again is really notable. Yeah, I mean, to spend only 40 seconds to get to move 18, going past the whole middle game. Basically, we're now like in the end portion. And she actually has a pretty good position because black's bishops are not that effective. And I would say, like, isn't she just close to well, maybe she's not really trapping that knight. It can go back to g7, but the knight is not that amazing on h5.
Yeah, and on the queen side, there's also a lot of action happening, and it's in favor of white as this bishop on c6 is extremely disturbing. It's controlling all of the squares on the queen side pretty much, not allowing the rook on f8 to activate whatsoever. Well, actually, I was going to say it's a bit hard to see how you can make use of this with the white pieces, but you can simply play rook a2, rook a7, and start attacking the pawn on c7. So, yeah, this is a very difficult position for black.
Yeah, I mean, Valentina continues to play really confidently, and her position is actually just better. Black's knight on g7 is restricted by her g4 move. The bishop is restricted by this pawn chain. The rook is passive, and this bishop is staring into an empty diagonal. So what is like white's winning plan here? I mean, I think the logical target is this pawn. So actually, there is a point in playing rook a2 and rook a7. And I think she will play this move because her rook needs an invasion square. Okay. So her move is interesting, very different from what I was talking about, but I think she's just going on an attack against the black king.
Makes a lot of sense because this king doesn't have many squares, and the knight is not a great defender of the king, especially with the knights, white knights around the king side now. It will become very unclear, but for now, it's difficult to see how white can actually make use of this because, yeah, if you move, like, for example, g5, the knight can jump to f5, so you don't want to allow that. But at the same time, black could play f5 if needed.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about what just happened. I mean, the move e4 is a big deal, right? It's a big change of pawn structure that generally was favorable to white. And as you trade pawns, like first of all, you get closer to drawn positions as you trade all the pawns off the board. But also you're kind of opening the game for the bishops, right? So I'm not exactly sure how this should have proceeded. Maybe the bishop capture with the check was more powerful. But you know, her move knight e4 is super natural. Like no one would ever like think this move is a mistake. But I can see how she might, you know, lose her advantage here as a result of this move, because black seems to, you know, have more stuff they can do potentially for counterplay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, bishop d3 has been played out and allows king e3 to be played, opening up the second rank for the rook to go to h2. But there's
White is still
only 3
better
pawns
here, yeah.
left. There's not a lot of pawns left that you can like promote anymore, so that will make white's life a bit more difficult to
Probably
convert this.
g5, right? Because I mean, there's no point taking the pawn in f5 and letting the knight out. So, whoa, really? Really?
Oh,
like
wow.
that? I mean, okay, maybe. I mean, she's still better. She just wants to take and go like rook a7, knight e5. Okay.
Yeah, but is it enough? Because there's only 2 pawns left, and yeah, if black manages to get 2 pawns for the bishop, then it's pretty much a draw.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely was counting on this rook a7 move. Oh, rook
You
a6.
just take on c5 now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that just actually pretty good.
Yeah, no need to risk anything.
Yeah, give up the bishop, take both pawns, and Tan does it. Yeah, and Tan is going to be defending this position. She's got 50 seconds, which is not so bad. I mean, you know, rook and knight are not really a very dangerous attacking duo. I mean, I'm not sure she's ever even going to lose that pawn, to be honest.
I've seen in the over the board like classical game with rook and knight versus rook, and the side with the rook was losing a couple of times, but the win is just so impossible to find. Like it's absolutely crazy sometimes. So it's really like easy to blunder, but at the same time like really hard to punish the blunder if it ever occurs. So I'm really curious to see if we're gonna see it happen in this game, because one, it might milk a lot of time from the match clock, and two, well, it's tricky. It's always tricky if you're a piece down, and there's always some sort of winning chances, especially in this time format.
Yeah, so I guess this is now she's gonna win the c pawn. I mean, maybe this is the chance to just give it up. Just play king b8 or something. It's fine. I mean, the only way you're gonna lose is if you get your king somewhere like too much on the side of the board. You really have to try to lose as black. I have defended this position as black.
Okay.
Or, I mean, I was white, but I was aside without the knight. And you really have to try to lose this as black. Like, there's just, you know, just try giving checks to the king. It doesn't require that much skill. But it's going to be tricky for her, for sure, because of the time situation, right? Like 15 seconds, I mean, 1 second increment, that's pretty tough. So Gunina is going to torture her here for sure.
Yeah, and I really like what Tana is doing here. She's not well, okay. I was gonna say she's not allowing the pawn to be captured. She had some really awesome tactics, but sadly for Tan, the pawn had to disappear right as I wanted to mention about it, but it's all right. Let's see if she can defend this position.
Yeah, just you can attack the knight, sure. That keeps the king from kind of going up. If the king goes up, check. I mean, sure, that's fine. Try to run away from your opponent's king. So now go back to c8 or e8. That's fine. f8, go to f8, go away from their king. But it's her time situation. It's her time situation that kind of bothers me. But, you know, because 7 seconds, she had like 15. Now it's 7.
Yeah, this is no fun defending with like 5 seconds on the clock.
No,
especially if you're like tucked down on the edge of the board, you know. That's not ideal.
Yeah, that's really not. 4 seconds. I mean, you see how she just keeps getting lower on time. King e8. All right, that's fine too. King d8.
King g was knight f6, I believe. Or I'm not sure.
There was rook f6.
Yeah, right.
All right, so she's on the edge of the board now. Still fine.
Yeah, you have to survive for 50 moves with this time control.
Ooh,
and there you go.
Now?
Rook h2 was a checkmate threat. That's why.
Wait,
and now
rook g7.
Rook g6? Oh wait, no, it doesn't work.
Rook g7 of king h6. Rook g8, I think, is really annoying. Oh
Knight
wait, knight
g5, knight
g5 and
g5, a
checkmate.
checkmate.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. She actually did it without making her opponent lose on time. She just got this straight up checkmate on the board. I mean, nice job by Gunina, but it was tough. It was tough. I
Hmm.
mean, Tan, yeah, looking at that, she's like losing rook and knight versus rook. But with that amount of time on the clock and Gunina being as good as she is, I mean, it wasn't that surprising. So Super
Hmm.
Ginger says, wasn't that moral degradation? Honestly, no, it wasn't. That was actually like just an evidence of how difficult it is to defend with a 1 second increments when you got like 4 seconds against 2 minutes,
Yeah, it's definitely really difficult. Like defending such positions when you're super low on the clock, really rough. So I'm not blaming Tana whatsoever. But great win by Gunina. Really good conversion there at the end.
Yeah, nice. That was good. I mean, um, now she switched her line against the Khan, so it's kind of nice that we're going to see some variety, not just that one line in the advanced Caro. Yeah, moral degradation equals Kramnik.
Oh no.
I knew what you were referring to, Super Ginger. So yeah, I didn't even kind of explain it, but yes, I did get the reference, and I was trying to explain that it was slightly different. So Tan going to the ED Bishop D3 lines, kind of well, it's a quieter line against the Caro. It does
Very
contain,
solid.
some poison, right? But like, of course, it's not, aiming to be a refutation of the Caro Khan, like the advanced Caro, makes a better case for. So, white they have the Carlsbad structure. This is what this pawn structure is. Black
Hmm.
decisive fianchetto. I mean, I would say slightly surprising, right?
Yeah, G6 is also a typical move where you want to put the bishop on f5 and you don't mind having doubled pawns if the bishop's straight on f5. So it's a very typical move in this line.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, you're blocking the bishop.
Hmm.
Your bishop on G7 is not that great either, staring into the pawn chain. But in some cases, you want to play bishop F5, actually offering white to double your pawns. Actually, look, white stops that. I mean, it's interesting,
Hmm.
right? Tan's move, the only way you could ever interpret that move is that you're stopping bishop F5. There's literally no other way that this move makes any sense. Like, why would you prioritize that move over castles or knight
Right.
b2 or bishop g5? You're only doing it to stop bishop f5. So it does show that one of the points of this move is to trade off the light squared bishops. So these players, they play so fast on Amaya that they make it hard to kind of like stop and explain all these details, because I know they're like so many moves ahead of us now, but we've only just been a minute into the game. So let's try to catch up to them.
It's what happens when openings are interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, knight b4, little tactical threat by Gunina. Of course, Tan steps out of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
E5,
what's
very
going
typical
on?
move.
Yeah, e5, I mean, obviously introducing a big change in pawn structure. Looks like, Black is going into isolated pawn position. Actually, not sure why she did that. I personally wouldn't give this knight like such a nice square on d4, but maybe there's tactical reasons that she is okay with that. I mean, I still like white
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like, I love these positions as white, would never want to be black. I mean, what
Yeah.
does black have to look forward to here?
Yeah, it looks very promising at first with the bishop eyeing towards the king side and the knight on h5 eyeing on the square f4. So there's like a lot of potential, it feels like. But now with the pieces traded off, it's not so clear where the attack is anymore, because attack seemed really promising at first.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is that black controls the e-file. That is actually a very important factor that makes this position all right for black. Maybe I underestimated that particular portion, and maybe somehow white could have played this part a little more carefully, because after queen f3, she basically couldn't avoid giving up control of the open file. So she goes bishop f1. I interpret that move as she's trying to play g3, also stepping out of knight f4. She couldn't play
Mhm.
g3 earlier because this pawn would hang. I mean, I think g3 is, well, it's a reasonable positional move at some point that she will want to consider.
Okay, so white is obviously trying to put pressure on the pawn d5, but the knight is still on d4, and it's on a perfect spot, so no need to do that. But now
Mm,
this allows moves like queen e1.
whoa.
Oh, queen g5 is the
Yeah,
move,
knight
right?
h3, double
Tactics.
attack. Wow, she just blundered big time. Knight h3, she put her rook on an unprotected square on d2. And then after pawn takes, queen g5, she's going to lose the game. Wow,
Oh,
that
she
was a
does the
big
other
oversight.
way around. Knight
Yeah,
takes
no,
h3 first.
she does it well. Yeah, I mean, that's just a free pawn.
It is. You cannot capture back because of the double attack with queen g5. So, yeah, how do you deal with this? I guess, yeah, you have to move the king, I guess. But it's not
E1,
convenient
nice
at
move.
all.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, Gunina is now, I have to say, I think Tan is just getting a little uncomfortable with the pressure on the clock. I mean, she's down by a lot, right? She's not a slow player at all, but Gunina is playing so quickly. And then, that's making Tan kind of slip up, I feel. Like, just that speed, it's kind of intimidating, right? Like, how do you keep up with that? You're always, even though, you're doing your best, you're always behind on the clock.
Yeah, why did she not take the rook on d2? The rook on d2 was hanging, and instead she went for the bishop, but maybe she is thinking that there's like more attacking chances here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? So she could have, yeah, actually, I don't know why she didn't take the rook. I mean, it was completely winning just up in exchange. I mean, you're right. That is, would have just ended things. I think this way, Tan can still have some hopes of surviving. Actually, she's only down a pawn.
Right, so yeah, she wouldn't mind trading, but I mean, she has this really strong knight versus the bishop that is pretty much dominated. So in the endgame, I feel like she still has some drawing chances, which is why Valentina is not trading queen. She goes queen c1, attacking the rook. Now a move like f4 comes to mind, but she plays knight f3 instead, also a decent move.
Yeah, I mean, this is not really the kind of like position I think that Tan can save her. She has so little time, and her position is worse. Her king is weak. Queen
Mm-hmm.
f4 is coming, winning the knight. I think so. Rook e3, you basically got to do. Then you got to lose another pawn. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad for Tan. And that means that Valentina is striking back with 2 wins after 2 losses. And like, that's really impressive. And I also feel like she's hitting her stride more right now in the games.
Absolutely, and now, yeah, I'm not sure why Queen F4 wasn't played a move earlier, but okay, Bishop B5, and it's still a very tough position
Yeah, I mean, that was
for
just a free
White.
piece, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
No,
still
no, she
not too late.
doesn't.
It's not too late. And then the game ends.
Yeah, the position was so winning. So good win by Valentina. It's now a tied score 2-2, so anything
Mhm.
can still happen.
Yeah, I think Tan now is gonna, you know, she's feeling, more vulnerable. She really needs to think about the time, how to keep up with Valentina on the clock. I don't know if it's possible. Like, I don't know with that kind of speed. I think you need to be like a Nakamura to keep up with with Gunina. But maybe the strategy is you can't completely keep up with her, but you have to play fast enough that you get to some positions that you're just able to navigate with lower time. That's
Mhm.
maybe the trick.
Yeah, she's not
Yeah.
playing that like slowly or anything like that. It's just that Valentina is just so fast, so it's really hard to catch up. But I feel like Tan is playing really well, like fast and well. It's just not enough against Gunina, but she has been managing pretty well so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if these last 2 games make her change her strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
Tan cannot put the knight here because of pawn takes. Okay, so she goes for c4. Interesting decision. a6, right? We know that's totally typical. Preparing for b3 by having b5 ready, and on a4, bishop c6. So knight e5, b5, right? Oh, f4, nice
Oh, F4
plan
can
by
be really
Valentina.
annoying. Yeah, white is getting a lot of space on the king side now, and yeah, bishop f3 now attacking upon d5. I'm not sure about black's position. Okay, rook f3 instead. Interesting.
Yeah, so now, I mean, Valentina is just going for the initiative, right? She obviously, this is a very attacking setup when you put those two pawns to support the strong knight. And, you know, positionally, I mean, you know, there's drawbacks to it as well. But, you know, in a blitz game, obviously, I would say this is quite a good plan because the most important thing in blitz is to have the initiative. So she just wants to go rook g3 and queen h5. Wait, queen h5. As soon as you get your bishop out of the way, I guess the queen can't jump. F takes, right? And now what is the plan? So she got rid of the knight so she can then kind of bring the bishop there, play f6. But she has a lot of pawns that are targets, right?
Right, yeah, bishop f3, you can just attack the pawn d5. You can also consider playing e4 at the right time. And yeah, f6 needs to be played here because otherwise it's going to be really difficult for black to defend here.
Yeah, this f6 is a very typical move. You got to chip away at white's base advantage. And then, I mean, you're okay, so she goes there. All right, so now white needs to find a way to get her queen in to the king side. And I guess that move is bishop g4 because her bishop is actually just kind of in the way, right? Like even if you put him on f3 and they go knight e7, like the bishop's not that amazing. So she finds it, Valentina. She wants that queen on g4.
Right, and obviously we'll put pressure on the pawn g7, and she can always retreat to f3 if needed to attack the pawn d5. And I am not liking black's position at all. Like black's position, the pieces are very passive, and it's clear what white's plan is, and it's really hard to face that for black.
Yep, she's threatening queen h6. Now, I would just say that, you know, rook b8 has not been a particularly productive move for Tan. We were advocating for f6, and now it's a little late to play f6. And so white's pieces are free to gather around the king. She has trouble moving the knight because of knight d5.
Right, yeah, knight f5 looks like a logical move, but yeah, it drops the d5 pawn at some point.
Rook f1 is literally the most obvious thing in the world to do. That's going to happen next. I mean, rook b6, I guess, is a nice try, actually, to try to protect the pawn from the rank. I really like that move.
And you might also be able to play rook g6,
yeah,
so
I
that
think
will
she needs
help
to
black a
find
lot.
that. She really, and I think she will because she knows her position is getting bad.
Yeah, it's a very logical move. First of all, to defend the pawn h6, and second of all, to cover this g file. Because if you don't get rid of this rook on g3, things will be very problematic. And she does it. Rook b6 has been played.
Yeah, so is that a small dog I hear? Yeah, guys, because I'm sitting next to a window, so I guess someone was walking their dog, and it was producing those little barking sounds.
It's so cute.
Yeah, I don't have a dog, guys, of my own at the moment. Maybe one day, but I'm more of like a bigger dog person. So I would like a German Shepherd or like a Caucasian Shepherd. Yeah, something like that one day.
Cool. I'm more of a cat person. I don't have much with dogs, but they're cute.
Yeah, I would like dogs and cats. I like them all. A horse,
awesome.
some chickens, you know. Yeah. So, okay, let's see what's going on here. So rook f1 happened. Rook g6 by Tan trying to trade. White trying to bring the knight over to the king side. And instead of trading on g3, which I think would have been a good idea to do, Tan played there. I mean, you definitely want to trade off pieces. She kind of missed her chance on that. But okay, maybe it's not a big deal. Tan is going for counterplay. There's no rook takes f7 here, which is important. The knight on e7 is a pretty good defender. So for the moment, I think things are not too bad for black.
I mean, actually be concerned about white's position a little bit as the pawns and the queen side have advanced quite a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is some definite counterplay by Tan. Again, she's down more than twice as much on the clock, right? Against anyone else, I would say having made 27 moves would have been good up to this point, and you would never really be that much lower on time. But you see what's going on with Gunina is like, uh, she just manages to build a big time edge, no matter what Tan is doing.
Yeah, like she also plays really like strong moves at the same time. So that makes it really difficult to catch up, you know, because how do you face those really strong moves? It's not very simple. And yeah, I mean, what do you do when your opponent plays fast and good?
Yep. No, that's the problem that Tan is up against. I mean, right now she got her rook a little bit trapped. Her last move, while very understandable, you know, trying to get the knight out of attack and attacking the queen, actually wasn't that good. You know, rook f5 was a better move, but you know, to play rook f5, you need to calculate that you're giving up your knight, right? So that takes time. They take your knight, then you trade the rooks, then you promote, then you like start promoting the pawn because they can't even take with pawn because this knight is hanging, but that requires time to calculate, right? And so you know, that her issue, she knows she's under pressure on the clock. She just kind of plays some reasonable move. Then she's under pressure again. Her rook's not going to the perfect square. It's definitely awkward on g4. White's already, you know, taking this pawn. Then, you know, there's some crazy move like that. Again, you need time to, you know, to calculate that. You know, with queen g4 coming next, she doesn't see that. Is that surprising? No, it's not, because it's really hard to see with like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a really like, it feels like an impossible move. So like if you don't like consider it, then you're just not gonna play it at all. Like you really like, it needs to cross your mind at least once.
Queen f2. I don't know. Queen c2 is the first move that comes to my mind. It just is. Now I don't know why. I guess actually, I guess my instinct was okay because I see it was the best move.
No, yeah, you really had to stop this knight from moving. Otherwise, knight h4 might have been really annoying. So
yeah, okay. Really, I gotta tell you, this move by White that I see the computer showing is not my instinct at all. But there you go. She finds it. Like it's like such a passive move with the rook. But I guess the idea is you just want to go knight f2. Kick the rook out. Yeah, that makes sense. So she just had to make a passive move temporarily. And she's in trouble now. I mean, black has no piece coordination at all. Her knight's pinned, the rook is terrible, the c3 pawn is gone, just knight f4. Yeah,
this is really rough for black. And now the e6 pawn is pushing
and she's so fast, right? She doesn't even like think about these moves. Like, I mean, because she has many winning moves, but the thing is, like, she doesn't even think about them. She just chooses one and like, runs down 10 on the clock.
Okay, so she lost a knight trade, but obviously like these e6 pawn is really strong.
Or maybe even queen d3, I don't know, queen c2.
Yeah, almost everything works. You cannot take the pawn because the g4 is coming.
Okay, so I am starting to think that if Valentina plays like this, she's going to win the match, because right now the last few games have been just really powerful. I mean, look at the clock, right?
Yeah, this it's just really convincing.
This is just crazy to play this level of chess so fast. Like, and I really, you know, am, you know, kind of a fan of Tan, and everything I've seen from Tan has been good. So to see this happen to her, it means like she's just playing against someone very strong. So Valentina takes the lead in their match. She's just won 3 in a row, and
very
Tan
impressive play.
Yeah, Tan needs to find a way to kind of handle this this pressure on the clock.
Right, because yeah, she's been doing really well. Both players are doing super well, but Valentina's just playing much better, especially in the last few games, and also having a much better time management. I mean, if you could consistently have this type of time management, you're just like extremely good. So it's really impressive to see her play a couple of games in a row with this time management and skill at the same time.
Yep. I mean, okay, so Tan making adjustments, right? She's like playing quite quickly. And her position is quite nice. Is Valentina going to go for f5? I know she likes that kind of move. It's like it's a weakening move. There you go. She refrains from it. I mean, white can be happy here because this bishop is inside the pawn chain, so there is at least one problematic piece on the board. By the way, Valentina, putting these sorts of ideas on the board, maybe Tan will want to move that queen as she has in a previous game. Although for now, the queen's protected by the knight and bishop. She just, oh, okay, she didn't blunder. Okay, knight b4 is not a big deal because she moved away one of the attackers, one of the defenders, but this is still like not a threat. If the knight b4 happens, she can just move away.
Yeah, and obviously the knight is on f3 is defending the pawn d4, so it's completely fine for white. And now she does the move f5 indeed, and typically you would say like this is not a great move because you're weakening the square e5, but in this position, three pieces are looking towards e5, so it seems like e5 is really well defended from black's perspective, and it's really hard for white to access this square without losing a material. So
yeah, I mean, I like
it's fine.
Yeah, I like Tan's approach, c4. She's trying to open the game and activate that bishop on the diagonal, trying to expose that weakness. And now, I mean, okay, c5 is sort of an obvious move, but she's trying to prepare it with a3, right? She wants to go c5 and then b4 immediately. So that's a strong positional idea by Tan. This little move a3 is actually quite poisonous. And if black takes, then she also cannot use the b4 square for the knight. b3, okay, very reasonable play by Tan. Actually, right now you can see she's a little bit up on the clock, but she's also building up her position. Rook c1, obvious move. And at this point, white is just commandeering on the board.
Yeah, now the bishop moved to b7 instead because I can understand she feels that there's more potential along this diagonal, as maybe she will capture on the c4, but now instead c takes d5 has happened. So this is not a comfortable position for black because there's so much pressure on this knight on c6. The bishop on b7 is not the greatest, and now this knight on e5 is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, black's king is weaker than white's. There's absolutely, little point for this pawn to be present on f5 here. Obviously, there's pressure on the c file, right? So the only thing that's not great about white's position is this bishop, but, it's comparable to that bishop. So now I suppose some bishop b5 is an idea, although it seems like, like there was a blunder on the d5 square, but okay.
Oh, that seemed even more
Tan went for my move, which was less strong.
It seems very logical, but you could just simply capture the knight on e5, and now there's not enough pressure on this knight on c6, and apparently bishop c4 check is not the move. It seems really
maybe
logical.
She can just take this pawn. I mean, it's crazy, but black is like not losing here because she's holding d4. It looks really dangerous on the diagonal, but she's not losing, and this is crazy.
Oh, wow, what is happening?
Right? Like not even thinking like at all. This is a complicated position. There was actually a really interesting rook takes d5 move, like an interesting exchange sack. But she just plays this move instantly. So this is kind of one thing about Valentina. Like her moves are very reasonable, but of course she sacrifices, the perfectionism for the speed, right? Which I think, for Blitz, it's a pretty good trade-off. But obviously, if she wanted to play perfect moves, she could have been here like, oh, it's a very important position. Should I consider that capture? But she didn't even like spend any time on it. However, b5 looks like, I don't know, perfectly reasonable move. The game still looks pretty crazy.
Oh, what was that? Oh, you can take on d5. Rook takes d5.
You see, this is again. I mean, at this point, that was like a free knight, but like she still had tons of time, but she just chose not to spend it. And here it's more of a big difference, between completely winning and giving white like a chance.
Yeah, I mean, she played the move King G8. It looks a bit odd at first, but she wants to get out of this diagonal of the bishop on b2, which makes sense. If that means
because if she takes the pawn, there was like rook d4, right? That was the kind of stuff that Valentina was trying to avoid. But of course, rook takes d5 would have avoided that as well, and then you're just highlighting the fact this rook is hanging. That was quite a big blunder. I do think sometimes they can afford to slow down and just find, those simple moves. You know, they're capable of finding way, way harder moves than that.
Right, and yeah, now 10 is down to 2 minutes, but I mean, like, it's crazy to think about the fact that both players have been playing so fast. I mean, seeing 10 also speed up, it's like she's listening to it. She's like, I hear them, and they say they're talking about my time management, and she's speeding up a lot, but it's not enough. I mean, Gunina is playing so fast. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, wow, 10 again. Well, now she's thinking because I mean, it is a tough situation for her. I mean, just because Gunina did not play the best move, it doesn't mean that Tan's situation is easy right now. This is still a threat.
Yeah,
This
how do you
is
deal
a
with that?
threat. Yeah, I mean, apparently there is some rook c5 move, but to be honest, do I understand it? Rook c5, pawn takes there. I mean, you're still
It
in
looks
a
like a
pin.
loose rook on c5. Oh, she takes on
Yeah.
c6. Wow.
And now it
Oh, doesn't work.
immediately,
Tact. Now she takes
Valentina
on
just finds it
d5.
immediately. Incredible. So good. So good. I mean, she definitely saw her mistake. I mean, she didn't even think at all. She didn't even hesitate on this. Wow.
Yeah, so after bishop
Winning
takes
a
e5,
piece.
you can just take the queen on d1, and you'll end up being a piece up with the black pieces. So
Yep.
impressive calculation by Gunina. She saw this from miles ahead. Like she missed
Yep.
the rook takes d5 move twice, but not the third time.
Yeah, I was trying to see like what was going on here. Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, our viewer tells us that the point here was on this move that we take.
Oh my
Wow. And we use
goodness.
that trick.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, well, it was hard. It was definitely a tough situation that Tan found herself in. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what that game was so beautiful for her, and that just got away from her like you know, you don't even know where it went. Like it was gone so fast.
Yeah, that was a really interesting game, and Valentina's now up 4 point with 4
Yeah,
point
see, you see, like
2 points
this is
ahead.
how I lost to her, like 25-4 on Amaya, right? You can understand and sympathize with me, right? It's like it's not that
Absolutely.
I don't know how to play chess, but like it's really hard when she gets on a roll like that.
Yeah, she's dangerous when she has this streak going, and she's just unstoppable, and she has no mercy for you either. Like whatever happens, happens. But she has no mercy, and that's I think more than clear by now.
Yeah, no, she's combining the speed and the tactical skills and just practicality. I mean, everything. I mean, here she's better again. This square is really weak for black right now. White's rooks are way better positioned than black's. The queen on d8 is awkward. And I mean, she's going to be contemplating, you know, sacks on this square, depending on what black does.
Yeah,
Are there
so
chess
there's
players who do have mercy? Well, there are people, I mean, I would say definitely Gunina just, I mean, it's not just a mindset. It's like just her ability to keep putting pressure on her opponents. It definitely stands out. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's really remarkable. Like I guess generally like chess players are not like don't have mercy, but like it's like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but this definitely stands out for Gunina that she's just like keep going. Like at some point you might, if you have like a big lead, you might feel like, okay, I don't have to like do much anymore, like draws come way too easily, at some point, because you're winning anyways, but she keeps winning. She's not stopping.
Keeps the pressure on. And right now, black tried to escape the pin. Black is in another pin. Now, a6, I mean, you don't even have that. I could just take your pawn. What am I threatening? I suppose I'm threatening bishop takes, and then like knight anywhere, and I just win. So this is the target of the position, and it's getting, again, really uncomfortable for Tan. I mean, you know that move ain't gonna save her. I mean, there's there's bishop g3 that you can consider.
Yeah,
You
again,
know,
it's the like piece development of 10 that is just not working out well. We saw in the game earlier where she also had her rook a little bit stuck
isn't that a
on the
beautiful
board.
tactic? Let's see if Gunina finds that.
Oh,
I actually, and I think she just did. I think she just found it. Capture, discovered attack. Look at those tactics, guys.
wow. just insane. After rook takes c1, you have knight takes f6, and black's position is just not great.
I mean, nice stuff. Nice stuff by Gunina, rook c1, right? You take there, you open up the black king, you capture back. Everything about black's position is horrible. King safety, pin, passive rook, passive queen. So yeah, I mean, Gunina, I mean, she's on top again.
Yeah, it's just so impressive. Once again, she has 4 minutes on her clock. She has not spent 1 minute just yet. So she makes chess look so easy.
Yeah, queen g4. I don't know. Is she gonna sack on e6 at some point? I mean, probably not necessary. Queen h5, maybe. Rook d1 comes to
d1, knight takes
mind.
c6. Like it's like anything almost works. It's
Yeah.
just that the piece coordination of black is just not there. Even though the bishop was on b7, it has an open diagonal. Even though the knight is able to move around to e5, it's just not enough because the king is in danger.
Yeah, Valentina is crushing this. How Tan is supposed to be very good. Well, Tan is very good, but she's not really being given a chance to play her best chess. And you know, it's a skill to make your opponents look bad and like not let them play their game. And that's what Valentina is doing by this like constant pressure. And you see, when Tan started the match, she was doing quite well in the openings. Now even her openings, you know, have like in this game, she basically got a bad position straight away. And that's a clear sign that things are going badly for Tan, because her openings, you know, against Shuvalova and against Gunina in the beginning were totally fine. But when, you know, when you're under so much pressure, you start to crack. And one of the places you're going to see it is like you're not even able to show your strength in the things that, you know, you're normally supposed to be good at.
Right, and now we see knight takes a7 being played, putting pressure on a bishop on c8 that is defending the knight on d7. So it seems like Tan is going to lose at least a piece here. So, and we see a resignation. Wow, what a game once again by Valentina Gunina.
Yeah, I mean, she has just won 5 games in a row. That's a lot. That's a lot of games to damage someone's confidence. I mean, you know, 5-2 is already like the kind of score where you start, you know, seeing one person kind of take over the match. And okay, they have a repeat of this opening. Tan getting a pretty nice position here, but let's see. It doesn't seem like Valentina is very phased by that. She's just getting her pieces out.
And pass.
Yeah, we have a comment there by James. My goal in chess is to beat my opponent so mercilessly that they start questioning their life choices. Well, it sounds, James, like you got the same attitude as Bobby Fischer. He must be your idol.
Wow.
Gunina's play is hurting my feelings and I'm not even playing. Yeah, I know. I understand what you mean by that. She's definitely not being very sensitive to Tan's feelings in this match.
No, but yeah, it's just so hard. Like Tan had such a good start. The first game was so impressive, and the second game, okay, she had a decent position. She was doing well, but she slipped, and then she got away with the win. That was not supposed to be a win, but yeah, ever since Gunina has just it's like Gunina was warming up the first 2 games, now she's back.
Yeah. It's like the Gunina show. It's like how the match with Pats was. You know,
was a kind of similar fashion. At the start, Elizabeth had some chances, and then it was over.
Yeah. But okay, we'll see, because I do still have faith in Tan, just knowing her overall chess level, her abilities. I mean, I do think that if she can win a game and just hit her stride, but she will need to kind of dig deep to do that, right? To really still believe that she can take this match against someone who's been kind of stronger than her for a number of games now.
Are there some sacrifices like knight takes or bishop takes g6? I guess it's not forcing enough, but I'm a bit concerned about this bishop on a6.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Tan is handling this game well. I do think she's making progress. I think she's building up an aggressive attacking position. I mean, she's going to be going h5 soon. Then there's going to be a sacrifice on g6 looming. So actually, I don't really like Gunina's, game here. It definitely looks like Tan is playing the better game, and I have no idea how she's even defending against this kind of idea. I mean, right? Like it looks very tempting to sack. I really hope we see that sack.
Yes,
Just go for
now
it.
is it feels like the right time. Like this knight on
Yeah,
f6 is not going anywhere.
it's the right time when you're down
Mhm.
5-2 in the match. Let's go.
That too. So I really hope she's gonna consider this because it would be such a pity if she's like not going for it. Like you have the
Yeah,
opportunity. If you're not going for it now, then when is the right time, right? Like what could you even remotely improve in this position
yeah.
to play bishop g6 eventually?
Yeah, if not now, when? If not me, who? That's what that
Oh, okay. She
reminds me
takes
of.
the knight first.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I don't like that because after E takes, actually Valentina kind of brings some pieces into the defense. She was obviously hoping for bishop takes, bishop takes,
Yes.
and now the rooks are opened against that bishop. She just kind of wins a pawn. But obviously Valentina, wait, she did capture with
Oh.
bishop. What? Okay.
I mean, e takes f6 is so unnatural to play, so it makes sense. But yeah, it was the only way to survive.
All right. Well, this is good news for Tan. I suppose if I was Tan, I would also look at bishop f7 here, king f7, queen h7. I mean, then I would spend all my time looking at that, trying to make it work, and then it wouldn't work, and then I would, be all disappointed as I've burned my time and without finding the win here. Although this move still kind of wins for me. But
Yeah,
you
I
would
guess you
go
also can play
there.
like moves like f3, just like to kick the bishop out of there, so you can like bring the knight into the attack.
Yeah, so she's thinking after bishop g4. I mean, I'm just saying, bishop f7 is the obvious move, and sometimes it's annoying in blitz, like you focus on the checks, you can't really make it work, but other moves could be even just better. So she goes here. Okay,
f3 now.
f3, right? F3 is just kind of simple, but yeah, bishop f5, nice. Giving up the rook to bring in the queen. I like that a lot. Trading off the bishop. Okay, I do think Tan is going to win this game, and I think she's shown her skills again. She's not really behind on the clock. She's got plenty of time to finish off this game. Even if she had like a minute, it would be fine. But
yeah, her attack is so crushing here. Like queen takes e2, your queen goes to h5, and this bishop cannot defend on its own, and the other pieces are just not able to join the defense.
Yeah, can we have two boards alive in analysis? Well,
oh, she takes on c8.
Whoa,
okay.
whoa, what? Why? What in the world? Where was the defense to the checkmate? I mean, this is just, how is this? Like, okay, she was like rook g8, but then you could take this rook. Like, why wouldn't you just capture back? That made so little sense to me. So she took this. I mean, she gave up her attacker just to take that rook. I mean, okay, she's up a pawn, but this is how you start messing things up. If she doesn't win this game, I'm going to be so disappointed for her.
Yeah, this is like a really important one.
I mean, I really don't like how she gave up, that bishop for the rook, but she's still winning.
She's still winning, but it's definitely gonna like be much harder to convert this. Like it was a really straightforward attack, and now the attack has pretty much died down. So she needs to win a bit more positionally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that move is going to help her because that definitely opened up opportunities for the knight. So I mean, I know Valentina's just trying to do something, but obviously it was also kind of weakening. What to do
now? The knight on g3 is simply under attack. Like you can take the pawn d5, but c3 is also hanging.
Yeah. I mean, queen g4 now, and it's like the game is just completely opened up. I mean, that's crazy. That like Gunina could survive this. I mean, if she survives this, like I really do think like it will just crush Tan.
Oh, f4?
Yeah, there's f4. Will she find it? Hopefully.
She must find it. I mean, it's a fork, and it's like the position screaming f4.
It's screaming, and after bishop f4, queen f4. Oh man.
What? What on
So,
earth is
I mean, I
happening?
wonder, like, I mean, because on bishop f4, queen f4, queen c5, you just go queen f2, and
Yeah,
even if
you're
they take
fine.
you, you're protecting your knight, so you're like, you're still up a knight, right? So, all right, so she
Yeah, it's
went
just a
knight e2.
blind spot, I would say. I think she just did not expect this move to be like available in the position. It's just one
Yeah,
of the moments like you just there's just no explanation. You just missed it.
yeah.
It's a really tough one because this was her opportunity, but she still has a nice position. I mean, obviously she has a really nice. The end game is still winning for her, but it becomes much tougher every single move.
Yeah, she is still threatening f4. I mean, they're actually pretty close on the clock. Queen g4, g3. I mean, yeah, that seems to be the move to play, right? Like black needs to kind of get the queens off the board. Whoa, check, huh?
Ooh,
That
I
means
wanted to
he's
keep
not
the
going to
rook.
take this.
Yeah, I wanted to keep the rook at least on the sixth rank to keep attacking the pawn on g6, a6. But yeah, g3 seemed to me like a sensible move.
She's thinking of where to put the king because on that move there's queen here. Then
Mm-hmm.
maybe like what to do on queen there? Is it just queen e4? Yeah, she's completely lost her edge, right? I mean, well, okay, maybe not completely, but
It's definitely much tougher. Like she's still ahead of pawn, but
hmm.
there's definitely chances for black to equalize.
Oh, interesting. Is there a black shadow thing floating in from my screen? Is her house haunted? Is it this? Is it this, guys?
It's
Like
probably
the,
the
the
curtain.
wind blowing the curtain towards me. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah, we can
yeah,
see
you can see it. All
it.
right.
Oh, yeah, that can be pretty scary.
Yeah, all right. So she played rook h5. Oh, okay. Maybe white has a chance to win again. White
I think
actually
the
had
move
a
was
cool
knight of.
chance to win, but okay, she didn't find it.
Seems like there was some knight of four trick.
Yeah, there was knight of four and the queen coming into e8.
Right.
All right, so what's going on here? I mean, it's
Should
still
be
an extra
winning.
pawn,
Rook
right? Extra
a7.
pawn, but like it's bishop versus knight, and now we're in the end game. It's like this rook is going to activate. Yep, come around. I don't know, c8 or d8.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still chances. Definitely rook d2 coming in. Really annoying. Like the knight is kind of passive. The bishop is excellent on e5. And even though white has two extra pawns, there's a lot of activity. I mean, maybe uh oh, whoa, did she just blunder this one? Okay, she
I
gave
guess
that
she's
pawn.
fine taking the pawn on a2.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely like it feels a bit easier for white to play because now we get to play f4. You can kick the bishop out of there. You get to defend the pawn on c3 very well.
Yep.
She's not in a hurry. It seems like
Yeah, I wonder, you can't really. Oh, there's f4,
f4,
and she
right?
finally plays the
Knight
winning move.
d4.
Finally plays the
King
winning
f4,
move.
king f5 was the blunder. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Look, I mean, just look at how hard Tan had to work to win like a completely winning position that she, played great up until that point. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's good that she won. That's really good. But the fact that it was
Mm-hmm.
that difficult, of course, is not a great sign for her, right? It just shows like how much of a fight Valentina can put up even in like, games that are going really badly for her.
Yeah, it's slightly worrying, but this is a great start for her to come back in the match as the score is now 5-3. And there's still some time left for one more game after this one for the 5+1 portion. So let's see if she can get the match score even closer. As the players are now in this position, they are playing very fast once again.
Yeah. I wonder if this time she will play knight d7, to make sure that white cannot put the knight on e5 to start that dangerous knight e5 f4 plan. I would do that, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Knight c6 is also like a typical move to play, but I prefer knight d7 as you at least are not blocking the bishop from having some squares available when you play knight
Yeah.
c6.
Yeah, if you play knight c6, you got to deal with things like pawn takes pawn, then knight takes d5, queen d5. bishop h7 winning the queen. So I do think like knight d7 looks normal, but okay, you see, she obviously has memories of that game and she's like doing everything she can to not let that knight go there.
Now d takes c5 has been played. Black has the hanging pawns in position, which have both ups and downs. The ups are that you are controlling many squares in the center of the board. The squares b4, c4, d4, and e4 are under control by black. But at the same time, those pawns are very weak. So it has some drawbacks as well.
Yeah, this is tricky now for black, right? Because this pawn is under attack, and how do you guard it when you can't really move your knight? The thing is, if you go a6, I might just take on d7, go knight a4, then you got some issues with the c5 square, right? Because a6 seems like a pretty normal move. It saves that pawn, but then there's the other pawn. And this is often what happens to these hanging pawns, right? You're supposed to put them under pressure. And obviously you can't even go c4 here. I can just play, rook takes c4 if I want. Winning the pawn. There's also knight b6 as a winning threat as well. So it is tricky right now for Tan. She went d4, right? Going for the counterplay. I mean, that makes sense. You're trying to open the bishops. Okay.
Oh, she takes on f3. I'm really worried about this knight on d7.
Yeah, the pin is unpleasant. I mean, if she has a little time to play here and like kind of move out of it, it wouldn't be so bad. But let's see what Valentina does now. There's some annoying move like queen b7 to put pressure on it, although you also got to calculate queen d5.
Right, after queen b7, you don't have the move rook e7 because of knight d5. So she does knight e4 instead. Okay. That's rather surprising. She wants to go for the knight d6 move, I guess, but
yep.
It seems to me that black can defend that by playing rook f8 at least.
Yeah, also I guess this is a nice way to get out of the pin, just counterattacking the queen and then just going rook e7. I would say that looks really nice. Hard to resist, knight e5. That's an active move. I guess also white wants to maybe win this pawn if the knight moves to e5. So yeah, I would say actually she just really wants to capture and take the pawn.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You be upper pawn, and yeah, she's in such a comfortable spot, like with the clock as well. 4 minutes left. That's insane. Queen f5 has been played, and yeah, she's taking it pretty easy. She's not in like doing some crazy things. She's not in a rush. She's probably gonna take the pawn now.
Yeah, I mean, there is some play with rook f6. Is it enough? I mean, there is some pressure against f2. But I do feel like Valentina has an easier game of it. I do feel like it's harder for black to play this well, although let's see, maybe Tan will prove me wrong and show some initiative here. But, white is just threatening like so many things, right? Like rook d1.
Yeah, this looks very unpleasant.
This move does it just win the game because the queen is overloaded between protecting the rook and the bishop?
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. After knight b7, queen. She doesn't play it.
Yeah, she doesn't play it because this way she just keeps the pawn, right? Like sometimes when you don't know that you're winning, it is a cool move because basically the queen just couldn't defend everything. I think maybe she didn't go for it. Maybe she was afraid of rook here, to be honest.
Could be. I mean, the bishop is still defending the rook.
If you take, it kind of feels like you're getting mated, actually. And then you have to notice that you're not because your bishop is covering the rook. Otherwise, you'd actually be mated here. That's a very easy thing to miss, I think, in your calculations in a blitz game. So I don't think she maybe even saw knight b7. I actually would bet that she did. But maybe that detail, she just thought that black could capture out on c1. She missed that. So she just plays b4, protecting the knight. Wow.
No, bishop takes f2 has been played. Wow. I guess after rook takes, you have rook takes and queen d2 check. Nice spot by Tan, but is it enough?
Wow, it was bishop e2, and then she loses the knight on e5. White is going to have the two pieces for the rook, and actually Gunina is still going to be winning there. Look at the time. It's so to look at that clock and be like 3:38 against like less than a minute.
Yeah, Valentina's speed is just outstanding. Like, I am extremely impressed. I know we all know Valentina is a strong player, but this is like beyond crazy. And she plays the move 96 now. What a beautiful move. Threatening checkmate. And also if you take on e6, there's queen takes e6 and you lose the rook on c8. It's just beautiful.
Nice stuff.
She is in top form.
Yeah, she is definitely in good form today. She's not very merciful, as we've seen. And now like king f7, I mean, is that even realistic for anybody to find? It feels like not. I don't know.
I guess it's the only move. I mean, there's also queen d7, but it feels way too passive. But she does it.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't that many other options. Yeah, like queen d7 actually. What were we supposed to do here?
Here's some bishop g4 tricks, or bishop c4. Bishop c.
King f7 was a good try though. Yeah, it was a good try because now queen g7, the king just keeps marching forward, taking the knight. So actually, good try by Tan. Good. If knight takes, there is queen d4 check. You might get enough counterplay against the white king, which is a little weak.
Yeah, queen d4 now, absolutely. Or you can take first. Oh, she plays rook e8 now, but it does allow checks like queen c7 or queen b3 even.
Yeah, where is this king gonna go? Because, you know, there's like knight e6 stuff.
You have to go king e7?
Yeah, you don't want to go king e7. Now knight g7 looks like a pretty good move.
Yeah, and you're just like crushing it with queen e6 followed after that. And this is becoming a problem. Queen d4 check has been played, but queen e3, a killer move.
Wait. There was no king f7 because the rook was hanging. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So white has two pieces for the rook, plus a pawn, and plus a two-minute advantage on the clock. So I guess the game is over. And
yeah, the pawns are just unstoppable at one point, especially with the two pieces, the two minor pieces supporting it. So,
yeah.
Wow. Good win by Valentina. Really impressive. And once again, she's showing her skills on the clock as well.
Yep. So they keep going for this line of the Caro. Now, Tan is going for it because she gets good positions in it. Valentina's going for it because, I mean, maybe she'll improve her play for this game. She's had a few bad positions, but it just doesn't seem to phase her, right? She just, although the last time they had this opening, she really was getting killed on the board, right? That was the game that she actually managed to, she lost it. Yeah, she lost it, but just barely. It went on and on.
Right, yeah. So let's see if Tan can repeat that to make the score at least closer, as we are in the last game of this portion, 5+1.
Can I just say that her opening is bad again, because it's not exactly an improvement to put the bishop on c6. Like, this is not like the big hope of the bishop to get on that diagonal. So, I mean, so Tan has no problems in getting an opening advantage. Like, Gunina is like not even pretending like she's trying to equalize this opening. Like, it's not even, at the level of pretending. Although I think, by the way, did she just like hang a pawn?
She is hanging a pawn, yeah. I mean, right, obviously you have to take first on b5, otherwise the b2 pawn will drop, but she does it, and she doesn't take.
Come on. No, so Tan is like under her influence. Like, this is really weird. You got to understand, guys. This is like really simple stuff. Like, for Tan not to take a free pawn on an open file where she just put her rook, right? Like, I don't know, she opens up her knight. I mean, I really feel like she's getting under Gunina's spell, because, I mean, and the thing is, like, yeah, Gunina doesn't have to blunder the pawn. She's like got 4.5 minutes. She can definitely do something to protect it, right? Like e6 or something like that, rook f8. And then she kind of carelessly gives the pawn away, and Tan just believes her, just doesn't take the free pawn, entering the 7th rank. She goes there. Wow. I mean, that's quite the oversight by, I'm not so surprised by Gunina, because, we know that she is sacrificing some of that perfectionism for the clock, right? So I mean, her blunder I understand, but it's more like Tan's blunder. But she has tons of time to look at the board and be like, "There's the free pawn," and but like I said, she's trying to keep up with Gunina on the clock and just missing, that quite free opportunity.
Yeah, it's a very costly one. Like you cannot afford to miss such things when you're facing someone like Gunina, and especially with the match score currently, you really need to get those wins going on right now. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to come back from this.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, she still has a nice position. Tana's still nice position. The queen can go to g5 and start attacking there. But rook h8, really smart move. As the queen comes to g5 and knight takes h5 would have been a problem.
Actually, you're right. She's just threatening knight h5, rook h5, queen g4, winning a pawn. Whoa.
Oh, wait a second. Is it rook takes h6?
Fun tactics. Yeah.
Oh, tactics with knight f5 followed after that.
That's really nice. Please, can sacrifice something. This was such a nice idea, guys.
She has the opportunity again. Will she do it this time?
It was so nice, like attacking the knight. Now this knight's coming in. You're kind of like, I mean, yes, you got some things to calculate. Rook e7 is like, let's just take a look at a couple of moves, right? Like, how are we winning here? It's actually pretty simple because then we crash in here and checkmate, Nothing too complicated. So it was very, very much doable for her to, find this with 3 minutes on the clock. But she's
just playing like she has those tactics in her vision, but at the same time she misses those, and that is what is costing her this match so far. I mean, it's very difficult to spot this if you're in this situation, and it makes sense in a way that she's not seeing them, but she does it now. But now it's a bit too late because the queen is on the 8 already.
And where is this knight? Why are you sacrificing material when your knight is? I mean, okay. I mean, obviously it's not the perfect moment. It's still a sensible idea, I think, to look at. But I mean, now, after knight f7, you get the pawn, but it's not the same at all because the king is just escaping and you're actually down a rook and your knight is very far away. So, yeah, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate.
I really feel like she is, under this influence of how badly this match is going, because that's the only way I can think of. She is generally so sharp tactically. She's good with making fast decisions quickly, Tan, right? And I watched her play against Shuvalova. She was just, very accurate, actually. Very accurate, not a lot of blunders in the match. And we're seeing, even though it's still the beginning of the match, right? But the blunders are really becoming more obvious.
Yeah, and it becomes more of a problem too. You can really afford to miss those tactics when you're playing such a strong player. This matchup is absolutely insane. But yeah, I would say there's still some chances here, but now I believe, you have to play really precisely with the black pieces because there's still some threats in the position. Moves like rook g8, I think has to be played because you're at least attacking the queen and the knight on g3 as well. And after queen h6, it's just not working out tactically. After queen h6, at least you have king e8. And yeah, now Wise King should also be worried a little bit.
Yeah, our audience is pointing out that they have a very similar thinking pose with a hand over their face. Yeah, I mean, it's going well for Gunina right now. I guess what is it hand over rock? What is that? Paper, scissors, rock? What is it? Paper, scissors?
Yeah, it's hand over rock. That's
hand over rock. It's winning, right? That's why her pose is winning right now. You get it?
We solved it, guys. It's the pose. It's been the pose all
paper
along.
Over rock.
Why are we commentating?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now she can just trade the rooks. I mean, it's going to be a lot harder for white to attack with the rooks off the board.
Yeah, and there's just no attack anymore for white. But it was such a nice try by Tan. But if only she made this move, rook takes e6 a bit earlier, would have made such a big difference
She
in the
needs
game.
to get, yeah, she needs to get her confidence back and like
Yes.
stop missing these killer opportunities that Gunina is actually giving her. Well, we'll see if she can do it. We'll see. I mean, they have just
Mm-hmm.
ended the 5 minute portion. 6-3. Oh, wait, no, are they still playing? Oh, they're still playing.
They're still playing.
Okay.
Tan is trying to go for some repetition somehow, even though it seems impossible because after queen c6 there's knight d6. So the checks are just simply running out, and Valentina should be taking the point here.
Yeah,
But
she can
yeah,
even block with a knight, right? Like in case of
yeah.
one more check, she can just block with a knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's up actually a lot, isn't she? Like she's
She's
up.
up 2 rooks, so she doesn't even need this knight on h5. Like as long as she's comfortable with her position, you know. But yeah, there goes the resignation, and that ends the 5+1 portion of this match. 10 started off so well, but Valentina is just crushing it, and the small chance, the few chances that 10 has gotten, she wasn't able to convert those, make use of those chances. So let's see if
Yeah.
will be able to do better in the 3+1 portion of this match. We will take a short break. After this break, we'll continue the 3+1 portion of this match. So don't go anywhere. Make sure to stick around. This is the 2022 FIDE Chess.com's Women's Speed Chess Championship. See you in a bit. FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. We have today Valentina Gunina taking on Zhongyi Tang, and this match so far has been super exciting, Irina.
Yeah, it is definitely becoming the Gunina show, and Tan, a very skillful player in her own right, is just kind of not able to show her best game against the relentless pressure of Valentina Gunina, who is just so fast that it's very hard to keep up with her on the clock. And Tan so far hasn't really been able to take advantage of the opportunities that she has been given. Admittedly, you know, those opportunities are not coming in every game, but it would have been good if she took advantage of that last round when she certainly had a couple of winning chances. Now they're off to the 3-minute portion. I don't know how that bodes for Tan as they move to an even faster part of the match.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Sometimes you see players that as they have more time to spend, they spend this time very well. And when the time is becoming less, they start to speed up. So this might either mean that she will be speeding up a lot and will be doing a bit more fine on the clock, or she will struggle even more as Valentina is just not gonna stop playing fast.
So they have another Queen's Gambit. Rook c1. This resembles a game that we already saw where Valentina just kind of crushed out of the opening. Let's see if this is going to be a repetition or a repetition of that, or if Black can somehow improve. It does look a bit better because I see after the trade of bishops, at least Tan's queen is standing more comfortably on the e file, not on the d file where it was caught in that game.
Right, and we see now knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, and yeah, is the move c5 still possible after bishop b5 now, because it threatens bishop takes d7, so that definitely gives Tan a harder time to play move like c5, which is the typical move in this position.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though the computer is giving this move as possible, to be honest, I just don't see how she can make it. Like, is it realistic to expect someone to play this move in a blitz game? Well, I mean, maybe if you can make this move work, which I guess you can't because there's rook z1, but like, is it realistic to just kind of give up a pawn and be like, oh yeah, I got compensation here, you know, with rook a c8? I find like that's a very difficult thing for Black to evaluate properly in a blitz game, you know, within a couple of seconds. So am I surprised that she did not go for the computer's choice? Definitely not surprised. She played rook f c8, which, by the way, it seems like a blunder, right? Because bishop a6, she's just losing a pawn.
Oh, yeah, no. And once again, I mean, I guess that's why c5 was the only move to be played pretty much, to get some counterplay at the same time. But it goes to show once again that Valentina's playing so well that like she has a really nice position out of the opening pretty much, and the pieces of Tan are just like really awkwardly placed. I mean, the bishop on e4 is great. It's just not good enough to like save the pawn, at least that was on c7.
So to answer your questions, guys, how was Tan's time management with her former opponent? Was she also quite slow? And Akiva's saying, is she slow though, or Gunina just really fast? So Tan's time management in general is not bad at all, I think, for a blitz, you know, for blitz, right? So it's really that just that Gunina is especially fast. I don't think Tan was really slow in her match with Polina. I think that was pretty close on time in general. And that's actually the skill, guys, is that, you know, when you play well, you make your opponents not play very well. You don't let them show their best chess, right? That's not an accident, right? That Tan is like doing worse here. It's not because she became a worse player from like, you know, 3 days ago when she beat Shuvalova, right? It's just that Gunina is not letting her show her best game, just like she didn't let Elizabeth Patz show her best game. I mean, that's a skill, right? So it's definitely not an accident. It's definitely not because Tan is just slow or having a bad day at chess. It's actually, I see it as like directly attributable to Valentina's ability to put pressure on her opponents.
You're absolutely right. Like, it's just so hard to deal with something like this. Like, you're being put so much pressure on. Valentina is just playing so fast and so quick, like so well as well. So that makes it even harder to like bounce back, you know. And especially losing like 5 games in a row, that is like super tough to deal with. So given the circumstances, I think Tan is doing still really well. But in this position, it looks like Rook takes G7 is simply unstoppable. So looks like Valentina is going to take another full point here.
Yep, good time to resign. That pawn couldn't defend it. Yeah, that was a bad opening for Tan again. You know, not an easy situation to be in when like your best move is some like pawn sack that you know you need to spend 5 or 10 minutes evaluating in a real game, but you're expected to, you know, find it in a blitz game. That was a tough situation. I mean, you see, and Valentina just going for this bishop c6 stuff. I mean, it's clearly not a great square for the bishop, but she's repeating it because it's been working for her in 5 minute, and in 3 minute only gets more random, less accurate. And she just like, you know, she has the confidence to just play that, you know, worst position, and it's fine, right? Like if you can make it work, why not?
Exactly. Now we see the queens off the board again. How is this like? Because I would rather take the white pieces here. The white pieces are very well placed. The bishop on c6 is not doing much, as you said. So we have yet to see how black is going to continue like developing, because I'm failing to see how like what black's plan is here.
Yeah, I see in the chat, Anamaya, we got a discussion about the word like. Now I know I use this word a lot, and I also do the you mean. No, not that you mean, you know, and like, those are my two things that I kind of pepper into my speech. I just did that again. It's pretty difficult to eliminate that actually. So I totally take your feedback on that, guys. I will try to, we'll see how many times, let's say we theoretically say I pay $1 for every time I use one of those words. And let's see how many dollars I got to pay out at the end of the match. Okay, you guys can start counting and maybe help me fix this problem, you know?
I actually learned this, like, I mean, as I've been hearing like English left and right, I hear it so much that like you start to like incorporate this in your language and your vocabulary, and it's like at some point you just cannot get rid of it. So
yeah,
it's so common to use it.
Yeah. I've definitely incorporated it very well into my speech DNA, you know? Oh, that's $1. Okay.
Oh no, we don't want to go bankrupt with one show, Irina.
Yeah, Irina may be about to bankrupt chess.com with that promise. Yeah, well, the thing is that chess.com is not the party to this agreement, and just me, you know, directly with the audience. So we'll see how it goes. Right now, I'm down $1. But
I was thinking there was h6 in this position, by the way, but 93 seems also be really good here.
Yeah, and what is the point of this? It's an attack on the bishop on e3. So we just did a discovery. So Gunina's got the edge again in this endgame. I mean, yeah, we missed the whole part where white had an advantage out of the opening, right? So obviously there's nothing left of it. White's pawn structure is a bit of a mess. The pin is coming. Actually, wow, her knight is just trapped on g5. Incredible. I mean, getting that knight trapped on g5 is quite unusual. And yeah, that's just another winning position for Valentina. So confidently exploiting that tactic.
Yeah, what do you do about it?
Yeah, you cry.
You cry. You can also take on b3, I guess, but you don't want to allow.
Yeah.
Okay, she does it, but you don't want to allow rook e7. But now knight e4. Okay, maybe there's still some counterplay here, but the bishops are just gonna be super strong, and it'll be really hard to defend this. But there's still some tricks in the air.
Yeah, so rook e7, bishop. Where is that bishop gonna go? Bishop h8, I guess I would do. Bishop f8. Okay. That bishop is coming out. Well, no, not really to c5.
Ooh, and the pawn is just promoting, so that's why there was a resignation on the board.
Yeah, I know.
9
I'm thinking
points.
so hard, guys. I have to use a lot more ums in order to not put in those other words, right?
I already used
I
that
have to
word
find
too.
that filler.
I need a different word. I need a totally different word.
All right. So Valentina, look at that. We have actually a change in the opening by Tan. I think that's fine. Her recent openings haven't worked out so well. So she's going now. Instead of the Queen's Gambit declined, she's switching over to the semi-Slav, and we are seeing the system, Bishop E2. All right, B3, DC, BC. I mean, I think Tan made a timely switch. It's good that she is still flexible like that. We saw that Shuvalova was very insistent on playing something that wasn't working for her with the white pieces. And now I suppose.
What's going on here? Is there takes on D4?
Yeah, so takes on D4, pawn takes, and probably Bishop A5 was maybe a tactical idea that Black had. But she played E4, which was, really natural. And now this knight is going to C4 and D6, right? That's the typical idea supported by the bishop on A3. And definitely that knight being there is going to hinder Black's attack. Because Black, of course, likes to attack in these positions using the advanced pawn on E4, the knight coming in. But we'll see. Maybe Tan can still get something going there.
Yeah, there could definitely be an attack going on there. I mean, the bishop is covering a lot of squares on E2, so it will be very difficult, especially now with the move D5. Valentina's putting pressure here in the center, and that is definitely a bit more powerful and direct, so that needs to be dealt with first.
Yeah, so she went for D5. Okay, that's a typical idea. C6 is definitely on the board as an annoying tactical threat, and Black really needs to get her queen out of there. But knight D6, well, maybe there will be some sort of bishop H3 sacrifice at some point. I wouldn't say that's out of the question.
If anything, you can play queen H5 and offer the trade of queens and be fine.
Yeah, queen H4. I mean, queen H5 is a very solid move. But on knight D6, like, let's say we just take a look at this line, which I'm threatening your pawn, so you have to take me. So what I was interested in, Anamaya, was, is there this move? But I guess not, right? Because
still queen H5.
Yeah, at the end of all of that, like, there's still a queen H5, really effective defensive move, and there's really
knight
no
H4
attack.
and queen G4.
Yeah,
that's it.
Doesn't work. Yeah, I trap you into a trade. Okay, so we just did a little bit of analysis. Black went knight E5, huh? Well, okay, knight D6, I guess, automatic move. You can take, but what does that really give?
You can also take on E4, I guess.
Ooh, taking on E4. Yeah, that seems like a pretty free pawn, actually.
Yeah, I don't see like a discovery attack or anything like that, and she takes it. The engine is not very impressed by it, but we see a free pawn and we take those.
Yep, she took it. She took it. Valentina is now up a pawn. There's no real discovery. She's up more than a minute on the clock. Incredible how that just continues. No matter how Tan tries to speed up, it always comes down to this big time advantage by Gunina.
It's just not working out for Tan. So, wow, it's just so impressive to see Valentina play at this level. Like, she is in an amazing form, and if she keeps on going like this, she might be unstoppable.
Yep, I agree. I don't know who can beat her when she plays like this. I just don't. I mean, maybe Hao Yifan. We haven't really seen Hao Yifan play yet in the Women's Speed Chess Championship this year, but I kind of feel like it has to be the top-rated woman in the world who can stop Gunina when she's playing like this. I just don't see anyone else doing it. I mean, this is like a totally different level.
And Tan now down on the clock, down to 14 seconds. This is becoming more difficult as time goes by. Bishop f5. Okay, I like the move. I like the attempt. However, it's just not enough to save the game. You can take on e5.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep. So wow. I mean, is there a chance that Tan could actually get a similar score as she did? I'm sorry, not Tan, but Valentina, a similar score as she did against Pats. The score there was quite
Hmm.
large, and she's not quite on track for that. But if she just keeps on winning, she could actually do it.
Yeah, this is actually crazy. I mean, we saw this in Valentine's previous match, a similar fashion happening, and now we're seeing like another repeat of this, and which is insane because Tan is so strong, and she has also like the games that she won, at least like the two games she won were super convincing. The other game was a bit lucky, but she played really well throughout, and the match score I feel like doesn't do much justice to her play.
I agree. I mean, I agree, but her quality of play has dropped, right? Like throughout, I mean, from the
Mm-hmm.
way she started to how she's playing now, actually the quality of play has gone down. And it's certainly due to Gunina's contribution to that, right? Not just for no reason Tana's playing worse, but she started to have bad games in the opening sometimes, right? With Black, we've seen that. Sometimes like overlooking quite basic, tactics or just free captures.
Mm-hmm.
Also something not very typical. And Gunina overall is not trying too hard out of the openings. That's also the other point. Is like, again, someone who doesn't really even try to get an opening advantage, you would like to do well, but she's trying to keep up on the clock, right, Tan? And I think just that's why she's missing some of these opportunities, trying to play fast, but still not being able to be as fast as Gunina.
Yeah, I mean it's very difficult to keep up with the time, and she does very well in this game, and it seems like so far, I mean, there is not a lot of problems for her. But yeah, it's definitely a very tough position to be in altogether, like with the match score, with the games how they've been going for her. And it always ended like in a very like unfortunate way. But yeah, it looks like this game she's doing much better. Knight's gone to d4 now, controlling the square in front of the isolated pawn. So she might have a like good chance here, as the pawn d5 is very vulnerable and a lot of pieces have been traded off. So as we go more like towards the end game, this pawn d5 will become a huge weakness.
Yeah, I agree. So far, this game is going really well for Tan. She's actually up on the clock. She's got a great position. Black is completely passive. The position is pretty stable. So I feel like this is the kind of position that Tan needs to win, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're doing fine on the clock. That's a big deal. You're up on the clock. You're definitely up on the board. There's not so many tactical tricks here that Gunina can find. So you got to make Valentina kind of pay for this for entering positions like that. If you're not able to capitalize on this, then yeah, you definitely just don't have any chances in the match.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely correct. And now we see the pieces are being traded off more and more. And now the d5 pawn is actually under attack. But knight c4 is a nice counter move because now the b2 pawn is under attack. Now knight b6 seems like a logical move. How do you continue attacking?
Yeah, I like a4 because you always want to use side pawns to attack the knight. She goes g3, which is not a bad idea at all. Also very typical. A4 was nice because there wasn't even a5 because of that bishop b5 skewer. But I think what Tan did looks good to me. Also, I hope she
c4.
notices that pin soon.
Why was
I mean,
c4 not
c4
played?
was just should have been played, right? But again, she's trying to play fast, so she like kind of just automatically goes h4. c4 is definitely a big opportunity that I think Valentina will probably try to avoid. She does.
h2, bishop h3, she does it.
Oh yeah, let's see
I
if
mean, it doesn't really work because I have 5, but the idea is there.
oh yeah, we would love to get Black to play a 5, just weaken the king even more. So I think Tan's move is pretty good. I like the king on h2.
Yeah, and the pawn can go to h5, and like there's a lot of pressure possible on the king side. I mean, if the pawn gets to h6, that's like a dream position for white.
Yeah, look, this isn't the rare game where Tan is significantly up on the clock compared to Gunina.
Wow.
So this is a lot. I mean, Gunina has been showing us some magic today, but I'm not sure even she can show us anything in this situation.
And what is stopping White now from playing h5? I guess she wants to take it easy because Queen e2 was a possible move. Could be a little bit annoying. But now h5 has been stopped completely. However, there's a lot of dark squares around the black king. Can Tan make use of this?
Yeah, I think eventually, okay, she should put the king on g2 just because it's really nice there. It's nice to have everything protected. But she really should make use of this idea at some point. Oh, she just left the knight. No, the knight's not hanging. It's not, right? You can't take it because you lose your rook.
Right. That is pretty tricky. She moves the rook away, so now it is hanging. Will Gunina spot this? Because it's kind of tricky that if the knight like is not attacked like with the move, with the last move, it's hard to see that it's hanging, but she spots it.
Yeah, rook f6, maybe. Okay.
Is it now time
a4,
to take?
there you go. She finally
okay,
pushes
now
that
she plays
pawn.
it.
Okay,
now you can just take on d5.
Yeah, she's gonna win the pawn. Now Gunina is reduced to 5 seconds to like look for tricks here. I mean,
yeah,
it's not even such a bad thing that she lost the pawn, honestly. It's not the worst thing that could have happened to her. It's more like the time situation that is the problem for Gunina here.
Right, because I mean, you still have to convert this position. If there are times where the other way around, it would have been very concerning for White because of this knight on g4. It's such a tricky piece. But yeah, this is definitely very comfortable. But oh, rook c6 drops a pawn on c3. Okay, you can still play bishop b7, but then rook c7 might happen. Okay, she takes on g4.
Yeah, I mean, Gunina has done well to survive this far. She's only down a pawn in the rook endgame. So still some technique is required, but Tan actually usually has quite good technique in the end game. So, wow, wait, look at this. No. Look at this. She's not winning anymore. I mean, incredible. She just blundered the a5 pawn. I mean, if Gunina saves this game, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say. I just don't know what to say. And I think, I mean, she actually can. I mean, if she saves this game, it is going to be just such a blow to Tan. Oh, man. I mean, yeah, she's going to put the rook on c2 and just start pushing the a pawn. It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to see how Tan can make progress here as the king is stuck tied to the f2 pawn.
Incredible.
Ooh, and she's not going to lose a pawn on the c file as the king gets closer now to d6.
Okay, now what? Oh, yeah, that's how she stops this idea of the check. And now what? Like a5 or yeah, a5, I think. Wait, what?
Wait, she
allows the pawn. Okay.
Oh, the king is super active. So look at where the king is going
yeah,
to.
She made those decisions really fast. I can't say I actually really understood what Gunina did there. Maybe she could have done better. I mean, I still think she can lose this position. I'm not clear at all on
this is definitely still scary. h6.
Yeah, I mean, it still feels like a position that you can easily lose, but she's so far defending really well, and now she's just gonna come over and win that pawn. Can she take on h6? No, she has to go king g6. Will she find it? No, she lost on time.
That is a really important win for Tan. Is it enough? We've yet to see, as the score still is a difference of 6 points between the players, but that's a very important win for Tan. And
it is. But it's incredible, you know, that Gunina, seconds on the clock, terrible position. Like she actually lost on time in a position where she was finally drawing in. And okay, it wasn't easy, right? So it wasn't like trivial. I mean, I think that a win for Tan is like a fair result. But the idea that even that game went so close, I mean, it shows you like why Tan is having problems in this match.
Yeah, Gunina has great fighting skills, and she was doing really well while being like on 5 seconds for like half of the game. So it was really impressive throughout, but it was just not enough. Like it's so hard to keep the time around the 5 seconds for like the entire game and play well at the same time. But let's see how this game develops as the players are playing extremely quickly.
Yep, and we're gonna see bishop a6, White taking advantage of the slightly weak light squares. I mean, it doesn't seem like a particularly big deal. White needs to play for d5. There's really nothing else to play for here. Although I do think that this game is most likely going to peter out into a draw, just from the position itself. Although maybe, you know, on d5, maybe black can go e5 and just keep it more complicated. I would think about that, but you know, white's going to go knight b5, rook c6. I'm not really sure that's an option. Okay, black is totally fine here, just completely, utterly fine. White needs to just needs to make a draw here.
I think both players are like very ambitious players, so like I would not even expect like them trying to go for some drawish position, like playing d5. I don't think it like suits their style so much. So yeah, I mean, definitely Valentina can make things easier by playing d5 and like trade things off and everything. But I think she will. She's hungry for more.
Yeah, she could be hungry, but there's not a lot of food to eat in this position. So she goes rook c3. Okay. I mean, black can take on c3 if they want. There's actually nothing wrong with going for that change in the pawn structure and playing against the hanging pawns, because white has no initiative here. There's no pieces left on the board, right? So just going rook c8, I mean, queen b7, rook c3, queen a7. Okay, that was possible. So she went for rook d8, rook d3. Okay, so not a bad square for the rook. I do like that. I mean, you might want to go rook f3, bishop c2.
Yeah, it's like the plans are there for white, but where are the plans for black? Because I'm failing to see how the bishop could like contribute to any sort of attack. Like this pawn g3 is just stopping the bishop whatsoever from accessing really important squares. And on the queen side, there's not much going on, especially now with the queen on b7. And that seems like quite a problem for white. For black, sorry.
Yeah, so black pushed the pawn to b5. Not really sure why she did that. Was she trying to play b4 or a5, a4? But yeah, she invited the queen in. We've been talking about that move for a while. And now how does she defend this pawn? Actually, if you go b4, I guess I'll just take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seems like I'm going to be up a pawn. So now she just gives up the pawn, hoping for some sort of initiative based on the bishops of opposite color. But
yeah, I like this kind of chess. I mean, okay, it's like it feels like a last resort kind of thing. You are, you know, not in a good position. So yeah, you have to try something. But
g3, interesting.
Valentina is defending well. King g2 now.
Yep. I mean, queen b7 is nice because, yeah, or queen c6 so that your queen can sort of do some work on this diagonal.
Queen e2?
There's really not a lot of, it's not a lot of compensation for black, right? I just give you, if you go in with your queen, I just get rid of it. And actually black is just down a pawn at this point. So can't really get any attack going with the f pawn because e6 is too weak. Yeah, king g2, rook e3, rook e6 at some point. Just go rook e3, threaten rook e6.
Yeah, white can slowly start improving. I mean, the question is how will white be able to
Wait, did she just blunder queen e4? Oh, she really shouldn't have done that. Oh my goodness.
Okay, the rook is still fine, but this is definitely worrying that
she just blundered a pawn. That was a big blunder. We actually know that, you know, Valentina, she can start blundering things. You know, she does have, I mean, these matches are very grueling, so you get tired at some point. We saw her do some of these things against Elizabeth once she had built up like a really big lead, but you know, you can't call this move d5 like anything other than like a serious blunder, because letting that check happen, there was just no reason to do that. You just lost a pawn for no reason and got yourself pinned. And okay, she's still doing all right. She's actually using this pin to try to like win the pawn on d5.
Yeah, counter pin. It's kind of crazy what's happening on this diagonal. But yeah, how do you deal with this? Because to me, it feels like impossible that you can save this pawn. So she tries bishop e5, which is just allowing c takes e5. And she tries to stop the pawn with bishop d6. But black needs to find a way to make use of this pin with the rook.
Yeah, she finds this move. And now I think black just has to go rook f8 to guard the pawn.
Oh, wow.
Like this. Well, she's losing the a7 pawn, and I suppose white can always try to bring back their queen to unpin, and white is going to be up 2 pawns. So she should take the pawn at a7 because nothing really bad is happening to her if she takes it.
Yeah, she does it, and I like the way that Tan is playing right now. Like she is trying to find chances for herself. It's just not enough because Valentina is defending so well.
Yeah, now on queen g6, there's rook g3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Queen
a lot of pawns for
h5.
white and also a lot of time, a big time edge.
Oh, that's a big problem.
Man, this is such a tough match for Tan. I just feel like I want to see her play her best chess, but she's not really being given the chance.
Mm-hmm. She had a few opportunities, yeah, but the match score is just making it so much harder as well. Like psychologically, it's just so hard to face the fact that you lost 10 games and you've only been able to win 4 yourself. And
Yeah.
it's actually remarkable that we haven't seen draws so far.
Wow, we have not seen a single draw. That is incredible. Yeah, so 11-4. And just considering that Tan started with 2 wins, so it's basically like 9-2, right? Which is pretty huge. I mean, these players, there's no big differential in their chess level that you would ever expect 9-2.
Valentina is just playing outstanding chess today. So let's see if 10 can at least level up the score a little bit, get it a bit closer, because anything can still happen in Bullet. I mean, Bullet is a crazy time control. Things go really fast, and we also have a lot of games in Bullet. So let's see if she can at least level up the score a little bit, because the players are still playing at least for something. If it's not for the win, there's also a prize fund for the win percentage. So yeah, the players are definitely playing for something here.
Yeah, black is threatening knight f3. Actually, there is like a tactic on the board because if white takes it, their rook hangs. So now, black actually has the initiative. White has to play some careful moves. I would say that this move that the computer wants to play by no means is a move that anyone actually wants to play, right? You don't want to do things like that. And Valentina immediately answers with the most powerful idea of building a battery on the long diagonal here.
Wow, and how do you face that? I mean, you have to resort to moves like f4 or g3. It's creating more gaps in the position of the king. So,
yeah, the problem for white is that white cannot even put a knight on f3. That knight belongs on that square, but the knight is still sitting, blocking the bishop. And if you move it, knight e4 is going to happen eventually. So black just has a lot of initiative here. I mean, you can't even play g3. So right now, knight f3 is a checkmate threat.
Oh, wow. You have to play a move like f4. And that's not a move you want to make, but you have to do it. And fortunately for white, tactically, it's still working out. There's no check that would lose the material. There's no discovery attack happening. But there's definitely a lot of problems in white's position. The knight can jump to e4. F4 will remain a weakness. And the diagonal towards the king will always remain a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the outpost on e4 is extremely valuable. There's weaknesses around white's king. That pawn is just a weakness, like rook e8 now, queen h4. You're going to go after this pawn. Queen h4, I think, looks pretty good. Is there knight f5? Then you can go maybe queen f6. But yeah, I mean, rook e8 just really natural. And I really wouldn't want to be white in this position. So rook d8 seems okay.
Yeah, safe and sound. There's no need to rush things, and it's still very difficult for white to make any sort of progress here.
But it's not so difficult for black to make progress because white just blundered a pawn with discovered attack. And now on knight f5, I suppose queen somewhere. She has to think about where to go to attack this knight. So if queen e4, there was bishop d3, so she goes queen e6, which is smarter. The knight can't sack himself because the bishop would hang with check. So basically, you got to go for pawn takes, queen takes, knight, just admitting that you lost a pawn and still have all the same disadvantages of your position.
Okay, bishop d3. It's an attempt to keep the pieces on the board. And I mean, obviously that benefits white as more pieces on the board means that you can try more in the position. Um, but yeah, it's super rough. And oh, she goes for knight takes g7. Wow. She wants to play the move f5, but what do you do after like queen e5?
Forgot about the checkmate. She forgot.
Maybe she wants to play. Oh, okay, she plays bishop d4 first, and yeah, you would want to get rid of the knight on e4 somehow. Maybe f5, and then she wants to take on e4, but it's just not working out tactically. Like there's too many pieces hanging.
Yeah, that's those are the key words, Anamaya. It's not working out. Nothing's working out in this match.
Yeah, it's just not her like day pretty much.
Not her day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's losing the queen, so game over. All right, next game.
Wow. I'm just in like all.
I just want to know how many
playing.
Yeah, I want to know how many points Valentina is going to score today, because I think it's going to be a lot, and it doesn't look like Tan is really able to turn this around. So I think that is the interest for us. Like how much will Valentina continue to dominate?
Mm-hmm. There should be like an extra like bonus or like a reward for like a certain amount of points that you've like gotten throughout the entire like speech chess championship or like one match, because she's going to score many points. Like she scored already 25 points in her first match, and this match she's on 12 points right now.
How do you get a winning position in 13 moves? I want to learn from this, because White's already winning. Because Black is just not getting their pieces out. They're under like a lot of pressure. Knight d7 always runs into knight d6. Okay, she's preparing this battery. Looks pretty nice for White. How did she get this position? So it started out as a queen's gambit Tartakover. All right, so she goes with rook c1, takes. Okay, so she didn't do anything too crazy. c6. Well, that's, that seems all right. And then just queen d6 walks right into this move, and then
it's such a natural move.
Yeah, I guess she should have played knight d7, right? And then at least she'd be developing and not losing so much time. She wanted everything. She wanted the knight on d7 and the queen kind of active, but she walked right into this. This was annoying. Then she loses a tempo, and obviously White's got the initiative here.
You don't want to be playing here with the black pieces, but okay, she seems like she's doing well right now as she's been defending on the king side, and it's hard to see where White's attack is now.
Yeah, right now Black can also go king g7, get the king to a dark square, support g6. Okay, she goes bishop g7. Yeah, I don't like that as much. I guess she wants to let the knight come to f6, but White will have like these kinds of squares. So White still feels like they're better.
Oh, will they repeat?
No, I don't think Valentina will repeat. I don't think so.
She doesn't. Wow. That's crazy. But it makes so much sense. Like she has a great position. She has the upper hand, and it shows like what a fighting spirit she has, despite the fact that she is in a like very comfortable spot, like extremely winning. I think like almost anyone else would just like take the draw and like go to next game.
Yep, I agree.
So impressive.
Yeah, White also had this interesting idea of f4, then maybe later on to play for f5 or maybe f4, go a3, improve the bishop from this diagonal. I think that would have been a nice move. Queen f4 is like is less threatening to Black.
Yeah, you can like consider playing moves like g4 even, although that would be a bit too much. And I don't think Gunina is like down to risk too much, but she goes for the move f4. She's defending the pawn e5, obviously, but you could start thinking of moves like f5, opening up the position even more, making the bishop on b1 even more powerful. Oh, this is really rough, Rukin. You don't want to play.
I really like a3. I really advocate for the beautiful a3. Just look at this move, guys. I'm about to just trap your rook, improve my bishop, possibly win that pawn if you could actually find a way to save your rook. So wow. I really like that bishop improvement. That idea has been hovering in the air for a while, but okay, she misses it. She might still find it at some point. So she goes rook ed1. That's totally fine. Queen b4. Okay. b3. Okay. So she's not really taking care of this bishop like ideally, but black's rooks are not exactly the best here either on the e file.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if f5 would follow very soon, but now rook c4 and the queen is in huge trouble. You can still retreat to f8, but if you
Yeah,
have to
she goes to
refrain to such
e7, she's
moves.
actually losing the exchange, right? Bishop f5 she can do, and then just win maybe a pawn and then sack the bishop. Bishop f5 is a super strong move and she finds it.
Oh, wow. What a killer move.
Yeah, because it's the sacks that are coming here on g6. You know, after you get your rook in, then bishop g6 is going to be a big threat.
Yeah, it's just so pleasant to see the way that Valentina is playing. It's just, yeah, it's so pleasant to see. And it almost makes you feel like jealous, you know, like, wow, like you want to be in that spot too, you know? It's very nice to be able to play like this and have like such a big lead on the clock. So satisfying.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for Valentina having such a good day of chess.
Mm-hmm.
It
But she's
always
not going
feels
for
good.
the sacrifice. That's interesting.
Yeah, so what happened is after the sacrifice, she did not take, okay. She just went back. Okay, so she took the pawn and then just went back. Yeah, so she definitely lost her initiative by refusing to kind of do anything more active. And right now h4 is hanging. I don't know how she's going to protect that. Her king is really open. Oh, that maneuver looks juicy.
Right, g3. I mean, it was the only way to defend the pawn, but not a very pleasant one as the king is very exposed now.
Yeah, there was a really cool rook kind of sack idea with the idea of perpetual that black had but missed. Let's see. Well, now she's down to 14 seconds. That's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, but how do you you want to play the move like f5, but how do you do that? The pawn
Queen
e5
c4 was
hanging.
good. Maybe rook d7 here. How about? Oh, sorry, rook d7. That's me blundering a rook.
f5 was impossible in that position.
d3 and bishop h4. So she kind of blundered the h4 pawn.
Ooh, things start to get really shaky now for white as the rook is on c8 and it could infiltrate it really easily at some point. Oh, wait.
Can't you take the bishop now?
Oh, that seems like a blunder. Ouch. And yeah, the rook is not able to come in because of the bishop on e4. Ouch.
You get to escape like that.
That's a missed opportunity for Tan to at least equalize this game because it looked really interesting, but losing the piece like that, you cannot afford that. And there's no counterplay.
Black is not really threatening anything here. White can just go bishop g2, f5, right? She just goes f5 right away. Bishop takes f5. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, this looks crushing again. Queen d4 even. You don't even care. Oh, queen b2.
She wants the rook. Wow. Yeah, I guess that works. I guess it works. Queen c7.
Yeah, I'm expecting resignation soon. I mean, you can still try to hope for the best with the pawns, but you're just gonna get in check every single time.
Yeah.
However, if the king gets to f3,
probably is she gonna trade
queen g2?
Queen g2, yeah, or g3.
It looked a bit scary at first, with the king coming to f3, anything could still happen, but queen d2 was a really precise move. 13-2-4, wow.
Tan. Then back to the Caro. Well, she's been getting good positions there, so she has no need to change anything there.
Yeah, let's see how she will perform this time in this opening. Let's see if the bishop will land on c6 again. Doesn't look like it will happen. Oh, maybe it will happen, but bishop b5. Okay, so the bishop is already off the board, so no bishop c6. That's at least some progress.
Gunina has definitely improved her play against the in the Caro over the last few games, and she's been going for these isolated pawn positions where it's kind of more open, and she's been able to build up an initiative. I think that's been a good switch for her, and I don't feel like Tan has been like super confident in these positions, although again, it's starting to feel a little bit better for whites. Maybe that just, it's my personal preference. I like to play against the isolated pawn, especially when a couple of pairs of pieces have been traded off. Rook a d1, right? It does feel easier for white to play. So I do think that black requires more precision here. It's not, yeah, this is not the best kind of position for Valentina to enter.
Definitely. And yeah, you want to have some sort of attack when you have the isolated pawn. It seems like she's like trying for it, but the knight on d4 is so annoying. It stops any sort of rook e6 maneuver to the king side. So it would be very difficult for black to start an attack here.
Yeah, so Zero Up says Gunina has been crushing everybody. No, well, this is only the second match, guys, in the Speed Chess Championship. So she's only won one match so far. That was, of course, very convincing, but this is her second, this is going to be her second match. And then to win, she is going to need to win 2 more matches.
Right, and we are not sure yet who her opponent will be if she wins this match. We don't have the opponent decided yet because there's a lot of matches that still need to be played. But yeah, she has definitely been playing really well so far. So let's see if she can comfortably advance to the next stage, as she is ahead 9 points now.
Yeah, there's kind of a cool move here based on back rank. Bishop g5, Tan could do. Knight takes g5, for example. I don't know, perhaps you could look at f6, but knight takes g5, queen g5. You can't take the queen because of back rank mate. And, you know, somehow white has some initiative here, I would say. Let's see what she does, though. Okay, she goes knight f3. It's fine. You're not changing much with that move. Maybe black should just go h6 and get rid of the back rank problems.
That is a very like wise move. It's very typical to play such a move to make sure you don't get back ranked whatsoever.
Yeah, actually, white would like to play bishop f4, but there's always rook f6. That's the unfortunate part.
The queen on f5 is just stuck. It's not going anywhere, and you might think it's doing really well because it's a very active and attacking, but where is the attack? It's hard to see. The knight is not able to access g5 just yet, and wow, what are the last few moves Gunina has played? g6 and f5. I really like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I suppose on rook takes d5, there'd probably be some tactics on the e-file with f4, right? So right now, she's not threatening f4 just yet. Wait, I just need to understand what f4 is not an idea here. Why? Oh, bishop d2, she protects the rook.
Seems like that's fine.
So she's totally right. She goes knight c4.
Oh, okay, she can capture the pawn back.
Yeah.
But at the end of the line, rook d8. Oh, bishop e7.
She's still gonna win the pawn.
But okay, knight d4, rook takes c3, and rook d8. Oh, but rook takes c3 is a problem.
Yep.
The knight will be pinned.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Even this move. And black is actually somewhat better because the bishop is better than the knight. She's actually threatening to take. I think she's just winning the king and pawn endgame. Yeah, this is a pretty easily winning king and pawn endgame for black.
Black can create an outside passed pawn, and then the d4 pawn will disappear eventually, and black is simply ahead in this position.
Yeah, white can resign with clear conscience in this position, but
it's like a position you don't want to resign, right? You want to like see like the actual like the really like winning position for your opponent.
Now she's putting her in zugzwang. B5.
Yeah.
Maybe A5 is more precise. Yeah. A5 is more precise. Now B5. Yeah, there you go. Putting her in zugzwang, and then after king d3, f4 will be the final move by black, and the game will end. The game might even end right now. Yeah,
You
you
could even
can
play
go
king
king
c4.
c4. Yeah, that's
The king
fine.
is not able to go forward on e4, for example. Yeah, so let's see if she's going to play king c4 now. Okay, she does it. I was thinking maybe she could even consider another move, but king c4 seems crushing as she is able to capture this pawn on d4. Like, you don't even have to, like, take the pawn b4 just yet. You can simply take the pawn on d4 first. And we see resignation, 14-4. We still have a couple of games left in this portion as there's 10 minutes left on the match clock. Let's see if Tan can at least fight back a little bit.
Yeah, well, the score in the 3+1 is 7-1, which is just enormous. 7-1. I mean, it was, 7-3 was already pretty large, but she just kept building on that lead. And we're back in this Queen's Gambit decline position. That's been working out quite well for Valentina in this match. I think Tan she played rook e8 at some point to try to stop the knight from going to e5. So she's obviously trying to remember those games and improve on things, right? So castles, and this is where she played both rook e8 and then, so she's back to c4. Now she's going to go rook e8 again, I think. Yeah, I can predict that, following those games where she's going to be thinking about, I'm not even saying rook e8 is a great move. I'm just saying I thought that's what she was going to play.
Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, we see b3 on the board. It's trying to attack the pawns on the pawn chain on the queen side.
Yeah.
But are you able to attack the pawn d5? I mean, you would want to be able to do that, but the bishop and queen are defending it really well. 96 makes sense, but after knight b5, this knight isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, no, what happened when black played c4 is that normally, well, in one of the games she tried like a6, but this whole idea with knight e5 f4 was an unpleasant memory for her. And so now she just tries to keep the knight out, but this pawn gets undermined, right? And so you don't have b5. Now I'm not sure how you're supposed to keep it. What this move knight c6, maybe just going for this kind of structure, completely different, right? Going for the dynamics. I think she should have gone for that. Instead, she decides to take. This is just a statically worse position for black. You just have this bad pawn. White's got the c file. Neither of black's bishops are particularly good. And now she has to develop her knight to the side of the board because she can't even put it in the center. So it's pretty miserable for black. And she, again, already from the opening, she doesn't really even get a normal middle game. This is what I mean by, saying that when the match is not going well, you're starting to lose even your strengths. Like, I think that Tan, she definitely knows this is not a great position. Normally she wouldn't be getting it, but just nothing is really going right. So she's not even able to get like a normal position from the opening anymore.
Okay, queen b4 is still feels like there is some chances here for Tan as she's improving her position slowly. Valentina's trying to start an attack somehow on the king side, but it's not able to continue it because after h4, you don't really have the move g4, and h5 is obviously not to be considered just yet. So yeah, she starts an attack in the center now, and after knight a5, what is the move? Because it looks very convincing here that the pawn e4 will be captured as the queen is now under attack. Where does the queen go?
Yeah, now Valentina has to find a good move. So queen e3, pawn takes, queen f4 is quite clever, bringing the queen to the king side. She didn't find that. Is she planning rook c7? Yeah, I think so, right? Because this pawn is quite weak. And now I guess you take on e4. It still seems okay, but yeah, now rook e8, and black is very solid playing against white's isolated pawn. Rook e8. So she took. Now she's going to play rook e8, right? She goes for a different plan.
Okay, rook c8. I mean, she still has some chances. I mean, the king is not the safest. Oh,
she's going to trap Valentina's knight the way that Valentina once trapped her knight on g5. I find that really funny. I do find that hilarious because, well, okay, the knight can go to a3, but then there's queen a4, and you lose a really important pawn, plus your knight's trapped. So Valentina unfortunately forgot about that tricky a6 move. King
Yeah, it's crazy
g2.
because there used to be a knight on a6, so it's crazy to think that the
Wait,
knight
weird
got
that she
to
didn't take
a5
the
now.
pawn, right? She didn't take the pawn. Why'd
Mm-hmm.
she go rook c3? Doesn't that allow knight b1 or something?
Perhaps
Yeah, I don't
she's
know.
aiming for tactics with like queen c6 or queen f5, trying to make use of the fact that knight on f3 is not the safest.
Yeah,
Perhaps
but
queen
I think she
c6 is
will
good here.
regret not having taken that
Ooh.
pawn, and rook f4, queen c2, trade, take an f6. Maybe white can get a draw there.
I'm not sure why queen c6 was not played because it also put pressure on the knight on c2. It was like there's basically 3 pieces hanging in a way.
Yeah, d5, rook c2.
Okay, I guess
Actually,
d5 is a bit
d5, yeah.
annoying. Mm-hmm.
d5 probably was it. All right, not too bad for white. She's still worse. She needs to equalize, but I think she just made a really good move to do it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see the trade happening. I'm not sure how you would be able to defend the f7 pawn otherwise. So, okay, we see the trade. Rook takes a4, and that should be
Yep.
holdable. That should be
This
a
should be
draw.
holdable. I mean, Tan has 11 and a half seconds, so maybe Gunina will even play this for a win. But of course, yeah, okay, I guess she's not playing it for a win. It seems like more like a draw offer.
Mm-hmm.
Rook b6, yeah, okay, put the rook behind the pawn and just She's trying to bring in the king, right? She's actually trying to go there, which I think
Yeah,
she
it makes
will do.
sense. She's not in danger for like checks or some sort.
Yeah,
She has to go
might
back king
be. She might win
g5.
this one. She really might. I mean, it's not out of the question, but okay, a2. It's kind of hard to do anything. You can't really take the pawn because black
Rook
queen's their
a7.
pawn.
You can take the pawn, but then rook g1 might be a move, and then you can still capture the 2 pawns on the king side, g3 and f3.
I mean, black is barely holding on here, right? Just like because of this trick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And there we see it. And with the h pawn, it should be an easy draw, but
yeah, this king is just coming in, right? It's still very close
to
the h pawn, so I think Tan shouldn't have too much trouble. But is it possible to lose here as black? Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. I think I've been there once.
But she shouldn't because her king is not cut that far, and like white's king is not going to be able to get out of this file. So still Tan has plenty of time to make a draw here. Rook g7, just go rook f2. Stay on this file for as long as you need.
Yeah, the white's king is not going anywhere, and that's the problem. That's how you are not able to make progress. As if the king is locked on the h file, then the pawn is not going anywhere.
Yeah, she's trying to torture her. Why not? You never know.
Yeah, it shows a fighting spirit, and the king is just not able to escape. Like, you just face those checks, and typically there are positions that you can afford a rook trade, but here, if you trade the rooks off, the king is able to come to g8 or h8 and stop the pawn. So that's why there's just no possibilities of making progress here.
Yep. Okay, now it's a totally obvious draw. They should agree within a couple of moves, and we are going to have one more game in the 3-minute. This seems to be their first draw of the day. Is it really? Yeah.
It is. It actually, we only had decisive results so far. So this is the first draw of the match. And it was actually quite an interesting one. A really interesting endgame. And yeah, I think it was a pretty fair result in the end.
Yeah, I think Tan is doing well not to let Gunina play e5, which has been working better for Gunina recently. So they're back to this. Gunina sticks with this plan. Is she going to get to go bishop f5 today? Or that's not really her idea?
She played bishop g4 instead. Maybe, oh, okay, she took the knight on f3. Makes sense in a way. I mean, it's just a completely different position to play with bishop f5, having doubled pawn structure. But now she is allowing Tan to have the pair of bishops. Let's see if Tan is able to
Mhm.
make some
Yeah,
progress
Tan
with
goes
that.
for this plan again. It's been working out for her pretty well. On the other hand, Valentina has a very solid position. It's not easy to break down. She's got this kind of obvious play on the queen side. So probably just a5 now. Okay, she trades and then a5, right? Or what? Is she going to go h5? Maybe. She
Yeah,
goes
she
for
does it
h5.
at h5. And after queen g5, at least you have like a move like knight h7.
Mm-hmm. So basically, Black's position is very solid. I mean, we've traded off a lot of pieces, and Black's king hasn't gotten any weaker. We have seen some games where White had ideas of sacrifices, but on e6. But now I think that Tan, first of all, blundered that pin when she went queen f4, just completely forgot about e5. That's all that was, right? That can happen.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate for Tan. And now almost all the pieces have been traded off. The rooks are still on the board, and it's knight versus bishop. And this knight is actually really dangerous as it can attack the pawn on d4. His bishop is not able to defend it.
Yeah, rook a d8 probably. Or rook e d8 maybe. Maybe rook e d8.
Yeah, black can easily defend it, but I'm worried about the fact that white can control the open files. I expected to move rook c1, but rook e1 is also really good.
Yeah, she needs to, okay, there's no sack on g6 because the king protects it. That's something to watch out for. You'd like to play a 4 f5, but of course the rook is planning to maybe get out of that pin sometime soon.
There you go. Bishop a2
I think the
is maybe
sack
possible.
makes sense. I actually think she should just sack. It's actually a very nice exchange sack. Rook for knight and pawn, plus you're getting a second pawn, and you're changing the nature of the game. Your king will be quite safe. I think it was a good opportunity for Tan. She went for the more passive rook d1. I mean, well, you're not going to give yourself a lot of chances playing moves like rook d1, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so hard to make moves like rook takes c6. It's not easy to go for something like that when the material is pretty much equal. And you want to keep on playing like that, at least.
Yeah, you're threatening actually to win the d5 pawn now, so it doesn't look so bad for white. I think black has actually messed up a little bit. Now white's better. King e3, king d3. Yeah, defend the pawn with the king and then improve the rook, and white actually has winning chances.
Yeah, as long as you get to control the c file, it's so important to control the c file as there's not a single piece blocking it, and the knight is blocking the e file, so that's why the e file cannot really be occupied, and that gives the c file so much power as well.
Yeah, well, you guys go ahead and start that petition. Let's see how many signatures you get.
I'll sign it.
I think that makes 3 already.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, now white.
How much would you need?
Rook c6 would blunder. I would say like 100 would be good.
Okay.
Rook c6 blunders the knight, so Tan did not do that. Yeah, I mean, Tan is going to have a hard time winning this rook endgame. She doesn't really have anything going on here.
I'm actually a bit concerned about the fact that the pawn on the d file is so weak, but I feel like white should still be fine, but it just worries me just a little bit.
Yeah, rook d6, and that would be my. Can't you play rook d6, or is there rook c6? No, can you? I mean, wait, I'm curious. What was this really such a bad move? Oh, maybe it's because the king goes to e3. That's it. It's not that rook c6 is dangerous. Is that
king e5 f4.
You do that and you really activate your king while black's rook is passive, and then king e5 f4, and white's king gets really good. Yeah, of course, black can definitely lose an endgame like this. So I think Gunina did well to keep her rook active. So she's giving up a6 pawn, but keeping her king and rook active. Very nice play by Gunina.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Interesting that she decides, yeah, she doesn't even go for king g4. She just goes back to win the pawn. And now if rook b6, then, I mean, you could even go rook d2, rook b2. You don't even have to take the d6 pawn anymore.
Yeah, his pawn on d6 is not going anywhere just yet. The king is just stopping it. So now the rook is able to move around freely. Oh, 10 now down to 15 seconds. It's not a position, like, it's not too complicated, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to play this with so little time on the clock.
Yeah, 10 down to 10 seconds. It doesn't feel like a lot of fun. Actually, she's about to lose a pawn right now. I don't know what she was really thinking. She's kind of losing all of her pawns. Doesn't seem very convincing, does it? Like c3 here? How about just c3? Okay, she takes. Sure. Okay, good check by Gunina.
d3?
c3, or how does she win this though? King rook d3.
Rook d3
rook
and
d3
just
was pretty good actually.
Just take the pawns.
Yeah, she's taking all the pawns.
Oh, rook takes a 5?
Nah, but rook here and king
check.
e6,
Yeah.
and she's still gonna win. Oh wait, king e6. Yeah, she still has a good chance to win this one. Yeah, rook g4. Yeah, she should be winning.
Yep, the h pawn is just moving forward, and that's it.
That's kind of it.
And it goes to show, like, being low on time is just so hard to play these kind of positions. Just one misstep and it goes wrong. And that actually results the 3+1 portion of this match. Wow. Valentina up to 15.5 to 4.5. We'll be moving on to the bullets very shortly after this break because, well, it looks like Valentina has this match in the bag, but let's see if Tan can make the score really close, at least in the bullet. We will go to a short break. The players will have some rest. Don't go anywhere. Make sure to stick around. This is the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. See you in a bit.
44th Chess Olympiad is coming to Chennai, India. This is the biggest team event in chess with 100 plus countries competing for gold. Catch all the action on chess.com between July 28th and August 9th, and you will have a chance to see me play as well, guys, for the US team and to cheer us on.
Woohoo! I'm so excited to follow the games from a distance. There's going to be a lot of awesome matchups, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, really awesome event. I'm really looking forward to watch it.
Yeah, the Olympiad is a real chess festival, and it's being held in a really cool country, right? Which has grown so much in chess over the last couple of decades. And I'm actually in the middle of planning my sightseeing tour around India, as I'll be staying for a week after the tournament.
That sounds very exciting, and yeah, it's definitely like really recommended to stay for a little while. I mean, it's such a like amazing country with amazing culture, and also like so far away. Like, might as well stick around for a week longer to see some more of the country. As during the tournament, you probably won't have so much time.
Yeah, Irina won't stream if she sees all this weirdness. Type words like King G2. No, I get it. I see the green frog because I'm all up to date with the emojis, guys. And that's a really cool. What does that mean, though? Does that mean like that the road trip is going to be cool? Is the air in Chennai better than elsewhere in India? I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine where we are. We're not even playing in the main city, right? We're playing at sort of a beach resort, probably around an hours away from Chennai. So I think it's supposed to be really quite nice. I mean, you're by the beach, so the air should be good there. And then I will be going to the state of Kerala. Now, I was thinking, guys, you know what I used to do is I would do these photo reports for ChessBase on my travels. And
wow.
Those I think were quite nice. Yeah. So maybe if you do a petition, petition chess.com to like have me do a photo report and like write up a little article about my experiences at the Olympiad.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. It's definitely more special to have like someone that is actually like, participating as well, to have like write an article about the tournament. That's really awesome.
Mahabalipuram. Yeah, I said that right. Is 1 kilometer from Chennai. Is it really, Arun? Because, I know it's like we're getting picked up at the airport and it's like, I think more than an hour's drive to where it is, but maybe the airport is just far from the city center. Yeah, more petitions. That's right.
All 8 petitions today. All right, I saw some Moncaster emotes in the chat depicting your road trip, but it reminds me that we have a bullet match. We are going to have 30 minutes of bullet, and it looks like Valentina is crushing it this game as she's ahead of piece now, and it seems like nothing can go wrong for her anymore here.
Yeah, Tan sacrificed a piece because she was about to get mated by those pawns and the bishop and the rook, but that didn't really hold off Valentina for very long. So yeah, we're in the intriguing part of the match, the bullet portion, but is it even feasible for Tan to win if she wins all the games? It would actually be still very difficult.
Yeah, I think with 26 minutes left on the clock, like if anything, Valentina can just drag down the clock if in case Tan wins all the games, right? So worst case scenario, I don't even think it's even possible to get close to Gunina's
Yeah, it's
score.
a good time, guys, for you to send in your questions, comments. This is the part of the match where we do have a little bit of the luxury of talking about other things. Although, in this particular game, I do like White's knight on e5. Tan has built up these 2 pawns for support. So we might see an attack, and as usual, Valentina starting her queen side counterplay with a pawn minority attack.
And a3 has been played. Now you can follow it up with a5 to get b4 going, but instead White goes for b4, and this pawn structure is interesting because now the b5 pawn is really vulnerable, and Tan is making use of it immediately.
All right. So what are some places you're planning to visit in India, Irina? So I basically had a choice. Like since Chennai is in the southeast of India, I basically wanted to go somewhere not too far away, but so I'm flying to the southwest of the country, and my choices were go to Goa, right, which is kind of the famous beach town, or go a little further south to the state of Kerala. I think I'm pronouncing it better this time. And it's actually the state where I made my very first trip to India in 1998 for the World Junior Championship to Calicut. It's a city, not Calcutta, not to be confused with that. So there's a pretty big city in Kerala called Calicut, and that was where the 1998 World Juniors was. So I'm going to be going back there. They supposed to have beautiful nature. Like I think I'll be visiting tea plantations up in the mountains, spending a few days in the main city of Kochi, and going to another region where they got like these waterways, and you can do like tours on the boats in like around Aleppo, if I'm saying that right.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a plan. That's the plan. I got a week to do it, and I kind of wish I had maybe like a couple more days, but still I gave myself like a decent amount of time, like a full week.
Yeah, I think should be fine. But yeah, there's so many places to visit in India, so I can imagine that a week doesn't feel like it's enough.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm focusing on one region. I mean, it's for me, it's kind of hard to take time off. I'm like, so busy. I don't remember the last time I had a vacation. Like it's literally been years, guys. And even when I go on vacation, I still work. So it's kind of like for me to just be like, okay, 1 week in India, I think it's doable. But it would be hard for me to like take off much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in the future, once I become a crypto millionaire, then I'll be going more on vacation.
All right. Yeah. I mean, for chess players, it's a bit difficult to have vacation. Like typically, for me at least, when I go to chess tournaments, that's like my vacation. But we all know that when you play an OTB tournament, you rarely have time to visit the city around.
Yeah, or a streamer millionaire. Yeah, that's right, Thunder God. There's really
True.
both options. I agree. Both of those are would be good.
Yeah, we have a petition already up, Irina, and we have 7 people signed already in the petition. So.
Oh yeah, Pumpkin. I am definitely not a crypto millionaire. It's very difficult to become a crypto millionaire when you get into the crypto in the bear market when everything is just going down, down, down. So I have to wait a little bit, right, for things to get better. So yeah, I'm making my laying the foundation for later.
Well, let's see if things will turn out better in the future.
Yep, we will see. So what's going on here for Valentina? Well, I like her position. She's got the bishop pair. She's probably going to play knight b5 because that's like a pretty sweet move to play. No, what did she not? She attacked the queen in a different way. Okay, that's fine.
It seems like we missed the game that Tan actually won.
Oh, she won. Wow.
Yeah, I thought Gunina was winning completely, but it seems like she was able to turn things around in the end.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's true self-destroyer. Yep. Let's see. Okay, so how well is White doing here? Is this queen trapped yet? I guess not. Oh, she can take on c8.
Yeah, she can take on d7.
Can she take on d7? Yeah, that wins.
And crazily enough, there's no back rank whatsoever. That's insane. This bishop on b3 is a monster.
Yeah, it's also, well, because you take the rook with a check, right? So there's
I was thinking of rook d8. That's what worried me a little bit, but the bishop is covering d1.
I probably would have taken on e7. But then I guess
f3 is similarly fine.
Good enough. Yeah, it's good. Maybe h3, yeah, secure the king h2. Sure. What? She just missed queen g3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was just a free bishop. I thought she was going h3 to go king h2, and then she just Hangs the bishop. Wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
seems like
Tan
that was a
didn't
bit
take it.
unexpected.
Yeah, that was crazy. But you know, in bullet, that's just normal, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Valentina is just, I don't know what she's playing, but it's not even bullet. It's, I think, hyper bullet.
Oh, so look, I just got some advice about how to become a streamer millionaire. I just got to say takes, 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 or am I crazy, chat? Am I crazy, chat? And then that's all I got to do. Okay, that's good. I'll keep that in
True.
mind.
It's pretty true. Oh, that's also what Hikaru says.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got 20 minutes left. 20 minutes left to see, will Valentina go over 20 points? I think she will. I think she will get more than 20 points in this match.
Looks like it at this pace. She's just crushing it all together. Like even in bullet, like she's playing so fast.
Yeah,
I don't.
she's 2-1 in the bullet, so a little advantage, right? But yeah, she's playing really fast, right? Like just no real thinking at all.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
mean,
bullet is meant to be played.
she would be winning with like 30 seconds on her clock. It's unbelievable. She doesn't even need time.
So basically, guys, you're saying
Oh,
I need
bishop
to,
takes.
you know, learn a different language, slightly different language to become a very popular streamer.
Yeah, create your own like vocabulary, pretty much.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah. Wait, Tan just won a really important pawn. Hold on, look at that. She just lined up her pieces to take, and Black couldn't take back as a checkmate. And actually, Tan could win this one. I mean, she should win this one. It's completely winning. Completely. And Tan
Yeah,
has
this
tons of
knight
time.
is
Just tons of time.
this knight is gonna disappear, and if it leaves, it will be checkmate in like 4 moves. So, yep. And we see resignation.
Well,
A good win for 10.
Yeah, although it did finish very fast. So let's see. Gunina still has 18 and a half minutes to.
Oh, she played a bit too fast.
Yeah, she's definitely like, she's definitely, you know, slipping up a bit, right? Oh, you see her, or she kind of smiled, shook her head at that blunder. I mean, yeah, you know, they're getting tired, right? That's
She's
what's
a little
going
bit
on.
careless. I mean, like she knows she has won the match. There's 18 minutes left on the match clock. I mean, what can go wrong, right? That as long as you like spend your time, pretty much, you're fine.
Yeah, actually, I do need to find an opening. And then I think we do have a good name for it, Giga Crush. I just have to find that one really good opening that is going to stand the test of time.
Yep. I love that name.
All right, so she's bringing out the king. Okay, well, she's only down 2 pieces, right? So anything can still happen, but it does look like white is losing.
Queen d5, yeah, and Valentina tried to go for something like ambitious, but it's not working out. There's very little pieces, very few pieces for white. That's the problem. If there were more pieces on the board, she could try for an attack, but the king will just.
I mean, I guess you could just keep on playing to run down the clock a bit. I mean, I think that's the proper thing to do, just the practical thing to do. Of course, we know how this game is going to end. 2 pieces. It's quite a large material advantage.
Yeah, but I think Valentina is gonna try to keep the game going for as long as possible. She doesn't need more games.
I wonder if she's still in Europe, because last time we spoke to her, when she played Elizabeth, she was at the Candidates in Madrid.
She was in Madrid, yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to hear that. We could ask that in the interview.
Yep. We should be able to talk to Valentina after this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult to convert this, right? I mean, it's easy, but it's not easy to do it quickly.
Maybe there'll be a stalemate. You never know, right? Like, it's not easy to get the stalemate, though.
Yeah, I feel like you could like remove the two pawns on the left side of the board.
Yeah, maybe she'll go a4 now, try to trade stuff. It's so funny how the king is in the same diagonal as the bishop, but black don't really have a good check.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and the pawn on g6 will just drop like it's hanging right now. And there it goes. And if you play king of sun, there's 95 check at least.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing Valentina have such hopeless positions.
The fact that she is able to like play this game for so long is already very impressive.
Yeah, that she doesn't just resign in disgust. It is impressive.
Imagine if we have a position of rook, bishop, and knight versus rook.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible because after a4, black simply plays b4 and gonna capture your pawns, but it would have been crazy.
Okay,
she finally resigns. Okay, that's a bit surprising. I mean, you're not in the position to be wanting to have more games, and yeah, you're winning anyways. And yeah, I guess maybe she wants to cross that 20-point mark really badly. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, she needs to like just like be a little bit less sloppy, right? Because in the last game it was basically like a mouse slip with with just leaving her bishop hanging to h6. And so she's back there with a bishop to c6, which I'm sure she knows is not good, but she just sticking with it so she can play some fast moves that she's already familiar with. And knight e4 maybe was there. Okay, now knight d7 is good. Knight e4 was also possible, but I guess knight d7, rook fe1, e6. Okay. That's kind of a strange relationship on that fourth rank.
I agree. And this queen, it seems very loose. I mean, it has to keep defending the bishop, but on d4, it seems to be just fine.
Yeah, Tan's bullet rating has gone up a lot, and from that 1800 level where it was before her match with Shuvalova.
Oh wow, that's a crazy jump. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you don't play a lot on this side, then your rating is a bit skewed. But yeah, this she does pretty well, I have to say. Tan is doing well in the bullet portion. It's just not enough,
Yeah, well, I think, part of it is when there's such a massive lead, like the person you're playing against, like, involuntarily, but they're not playing like their very best. Like, obviously, this is not the hardest, Gunina could be fighting. I mean, I'm sure she's not, relaxing on purpose, but there's been a few giveaways like that bishop that she gave away. There was, I mean, I think she still won that game, but she like dropped a knight on g3, right? The game before that. So, I mean, she's starting to get kind of maybe more fatigued, but also more relaxed. I mean, with this, 10-point advantage, even after losing 2 games, like you just, it's not really feasible for Tan to come back in this match. But I think, they're still playing for money. So she doesn't want to just give up this match because she can just earn more money by more points.
Oh, absolutely. So it makes perfect sense that she's still fighting on. And we love to see that, right? Like, it would be a bit sad if the players would be like very careless about the match because it's already pretty much over. We love like seeing the fighting spirit still on the board, and we still have like some exciting games. So yeah, it makes the match still somewhat exciting.
Yeah, black has 2 nice bishops here, so I would have to prefer black, but there is some trickiness coming from the knight. Maybe knight d4. Okay, bishop d4. Is that a bad move for some reason because of bishop f4? But okay.
Yeah, probably this is easier for a white to play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she's gonna take
it. Yeah.
Play rook c2. Sure, rook d6.
Yeah, it seems like this will be very hard for either side to lose.
Yep, and they have about the same amount of time, which does make the draw very probable.
But they're low on the clock, so I would be surprised if we would see like a huge blunder all of a sudden. Like this pawn is pushing all the way to c3. That already worries me slightly.
Hmm. Yeah, Valentina going kind of lower on the clock.
Okay, rook
She could lose
f4.
that. Just blundered a pawn, but there's
Oh, 2
hmm,
seconds for Valentina. Oh, the c3 pawn
yeah.
is falling now too, and you cannot give a check
They
on
just lost
c7.
a couple of pawns, yeah, for out of nowhere suddenly. And now Valentina is actually losing.
Yeah, she was pushing a bit too much, and it makes so much sense. Oh, the h4 pawn was simply free, but now the
Okay.
rook on h6 is a bit stuck. I guess you can try to
Yeah, the
help
rook
it
is
with
very stuck.
g5.
She can't get, I mean, her rook is completely trapped. H5, yeah.
Okay, she found a way to get out at
Okay,
least.
now she's fine. I thought she would take with the rook. All right, she should be, actually, she's still down 2 pawns.
Mm-hmm.
Still not good. Still not good.
Oh, was it rook takes a5, I believe, instead of rook a7?
Oh, wow. There was a huge tactic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Winning a pawn. Okay. She missed that.
And this should be lost. The f pawn
Yep.
is just
Oh, because
pushing.
the F pawn is the winning pawn. You give it up and then you give a check. So
Right.
actually, yes, this is a well-known winning position for white.
She's fine losing the pawn because rook g8 check will allow the queen to promote.
Is there a title Tuesday broadcast today? I would guess that there is.
I
I
believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything special that they're putting. Yeah.
Awesome. So there will be a title Tuesday broadcast.
Yeah,
We'll
you
just
guys might be looking forward to seeing Hikaru stream a little bit later.
no, this stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe yeah, Hikaru would probably play so yeah, title Tuesday is back.
All right. This time she didn't hang her bishop on g5. So Valentina has lost like 4 in a row, I believe. 4 or 3 in a row. So 3 in a row, maybe. And right now, Tan is winning the bullet portion.
Mm-hmm.
Tan
Yeah,
is
Tan has
winning.
been doing really well in this portion of the match, which is kind of crazy. I mean, obviously, like Valentina's not playing for so much anymore. She knows she's winning, so perhaps she's also like not wasting so much energy anymore on the
Yeah.
games. She's
Yeah.
just playing it slightly carelessly and like not trying too hard, which makes sense because she has a completely winning score.
Yep.
But at the same time, Tana is playing really well. Considering the conditions, like, I mean, they have been playing for so long. The format is so exhausting. So I wouldn't be surprised if the players are also like, this crazy,
Yeah.
exhausted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Valentina mentioned that after her match with Elizabeth, is that, she was getting tired at the end. And, it's really hard to, by the way, there will be a sacrifice soon on these squares, right?
Ooh.
We know that White's king is quite vulnerable here, and this knight is amazing, and something's coming, right? Like rook e3, just do it.
Those kind of tactics have been so thematic in this match, like the pawn
Yeah,
on e3 or e6 or g3 or
right.
g6,
And no
like
one wants to sacrifice, though. That's always been the theme too.
or the sacrifice happens when it's too late. That's really
I
unfortunate.
just hung the knight. Just hung the knight. No one took it.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a free knight. But that's bullet. And maybe I think Tan is preparing to sack here. Can she do it? I think she can just take it. Just take it. G3 is going to be mate. Just take. Rook takes. Rook takes. It would have been mate. Okay.
Wait, bishop
It's
f4.
going
That's really
on and on. So
fancy.
she played, bishop f4, like using the double pin. All right. I think she's still, wait, I don't even know if she's winning anymore.
Ooh,
Yeah, look
wait
at
a
that.
second.
Tan just mistimed it completely.
Uh-oh.
This is the second time that and it's actually been Tan's opportunities to sack, once with white, once with black. And so she hasn't done it. And now, okay, now I don't know what's going on. Black actually still has a lot of activity, but white's up a knight.
Yeah, the b4 pawn is dropping, but so does the pawn on c6, and this b5 pawn is not going anywhere. The knight on c5 is stopping the pawn so well to go to b3. So
Wow, really?
okay.
What?
Oh,
I thought the king would go there.
yeah.
What? I mean,
Yeah, that
she's
would make a
trying to
bit more
mate her.
sense. Okay, 96, but now rook d7. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a trade, but I mean, there's still a
Yeah,
knight on
king
the board.
e3. Okay, so it's pretty easily winning for Valentina now. I think.
Mm-hmm.
And now king e4 or even
d5, everything wins.
yeah. Yep. So Valentina will get one more game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's not a lot of time. Not a lot of time remaining. So Symphonic Knight is asking, is there any explanations for Tan's slow start? Well, she actually started pretty fast. Started with 2 wins in a row, and both in good style. But since that point, it's definitely been Gunina's been running the show. She just kind of found her form, completely pressuring her on the clock. Not really letting Tan play her game. I mean, Tan missed opportunities here and there, but really the main thing that's been going on in this match, I mean, this part doesn't really matter, but in the part that decided the match, right, the 5-minute and the 3-minute, I mean, Gunina was just able to pressure too much on the clock, and that really started to affect Tan's play. She just wasn't able to show her best and use all of her opportunities.
Right. So yeah, Tan played really well throughout the match. Like this score is not justifying her play, her skills. It's just that Valentina, it was miles ahead throughout the match. She was playing so much better. I feel like skill wise they were like pretty similar, but it was just the clock that Gunina was controlling so much better. Every single game she was ahead 2 minutes, and that hurts at some point. At some point, you're just not able to hold that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a blitz match after all, right? So it's not just a match of who's the better chess player. It's a match of who's better at blitz. And in that sense, you know, Valentina certainly showed her superiority.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if white, yeah, will take on a4, bishop b5. I mean, how does she get? I mean, it's not even that bad for black because black has a really great bishop on d6. The knight's coming to f4. And I don't think that white's advantage is so big here. Although bishop f1 is a nice move.
Yeah, this bishop on e3 is not doing
Is there
much,
a
and I think
tactic
that's
with
part of the
knight g2
problem.
and rook a3? Come on,
Ooh.
let's find it. Oh,
No, no,
that's actually
it
pretty
feels
cool.
like a bit superficial, yeah. This knight on f4 is really annoying for white, and that bishop
Although
retreats to
white
f1.
has like a kind of an obvious plan of using the queenside majority. Now I like white.
True.
Because their pawn majority is more effective than black's. Oh, the trade is just not going to help. Just a6, the simplest plan in the world. Push your pass pawn, like that's it. Game over.
Yeah, the
Now the
annoying part
beautiful,
is, yeah.
Now the beautiful knight is actually, instead of being beautiful, he's more like out of play. And it's the beautiful a6 pawn supported by, you know, the rook and the bishop and king. And now king e5.
Oh wow. Yeah, I was gonna say the annoying part is that bishop on f1 is able to visit the square a8. I mean, like it can go to b5 to c6, and that will help white a lot in supporting this pawn. But the king is also just very close now.
Oh wow, so bishop b8. Okay, you could have taken it and won a piece. Okay, so white's winning a piece. Oh, oh yeah. Oh wait, Tan is white in this game. Okay, so Tan is winning this one. Yeah, it's a good win by Tan. All right, so she's just up a piece after king b7.
Right, and yeah, the conversion should be. I mean, okay, that shouldn't be speaking too fast here. Okay, king b6 is a really accurate move because allowing the black king to move forward is really dangerous, and now the king is just in time.
I wonder if Gunina will lose in time for them to play one more, because they have like a little over a minute. Yeah, so there's one more game. Right. So Tan is definitely picking up pace here. And I mean, Gunina should try to win this last one because it doesn't really feel good to lose any portion.
Mm-hmm.
4-3 right now. Tan is leading the bullet. So let's see if Valentina can win this final game to end the match.
Yeah, it turned to 5-3 now, actually. So that means that Tan actually won the bullet portion already. Which is quite interesting. Like you would not expect this, at least from like the match, how the match has been going. But she is just playing really well, and it's just really unfortunate for her that she wasn't able to showcase this earlier in the match.
Yeah. So Valentina using her favorite Queen and Bishop battery trick, 95 now. Sure, builds up some initiative. Maybe prepare a sacrifice on G6 at some point. It's actually interesting. Rook E3, rook somewhere. Oops, Tan just hung the queen. Okay, so Valentina is going to get that final win.
Yeah, and the time's over. So we see the resignation. And that means that the match is over. The last game.
Yeah, are they playing one more? Or I think, are they playing one more? No.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, the time's up already. So that means that the match is over. Valentina wins the match with 19.5 against 9.5. Both players played extremely well, but Valentina was just so much better today and had a great performance. And I am really curious to see how she will do in her next two matches, because the two matches she has played were insane and she's just crushing it. So
yeah. Now I don't feel so bad. I still remember that match from a couple of years ago, and I'm like, I mean, I definitely forgot about it for a couple of years until I started commentating on this year's Women's Beach Chess Championship, and it reminded me of my own match against her, right? So it's hard not to remember it when you're seeing these kinds of matches happen. But yeah, now it's kind of like I get to understand how that happened to me.
Right. We will have a short break because we will have a short interview with the winner, Valentina Gunina. She will be joining us. We will ask her a couple of questions. So make sure to stick around, everyone. This is the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Beach Chess Championship. We will go to a short break. We will be back with the interview in just a bit.
Guys, we have here for you the winner of today's Women's Beach Chess Championship match, Valentina Gunina from Russia. Valentina, tell us your feelings about this match from our side. It looked fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so happy and tired also. I started, did you see it? I started just blunder, like she played h6 and I forgot to about my bishop, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a super amazing performance, Valentina. What were your expectations for this match? Did you expect to have such a big margin towards the end?
Yeah, all because all girls, okay, they're professionals, so I just wanted to play. That's all.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, you were able to put a lot of pressure on her on the clock, right? So Yeah, that was really very useful to have that. It kind of sometimes you had a couple of minutes advantage over her.
Yeah, but the second game, I was just like blunder my rook, and I'm like, okay, just to play, what to do.
Yeah. That's right. That was sad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You were coming back in that game.
Yeah, I remember that too. Did you have like any specific preparations for this match? Like, did you play more blitz or bullet to have this
No,
speed?
my coach prepared an variation what my opponents are going to play, and okay, he we had also today before the match we had this yesterday we had this discussion about what I'm going to play and she's going to play, so today I just repeated and just saved energy.
Did you not expect this like e takes d5 line in the Caro, because she made the switch and then things started to kind of go better for her in the opening?
No, because she, if I'm right, she had this at the first Karakan game. She had this
rook e6.
Yes, yeah, and as in that game, she also blundered on f2, so that's why probably she switched.
Yeah, because it was really noticeable that throughout the entire match, you were like almost every single game ahead on the clock. So we were really impressed by the fact that you're able to play so fast and at the same time so accurately. So we were wondering if you had like any specific preparations, but you just had an amazing performance today.
Yeah, and I'm so happy for my Karakan. Finally, it's because yeah, to play only Karakan it's a bit hard, but in this match it worked very well, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, so you had this preparation of like sticking to the same openings pretty much and see what happens. Were you planning to switch the openings if things wouldn't go your way? Did you want to like switch openings?
Yeah, we discussed it with we discussed it with coach. So I had good preparation, and okay, this time I played from home.
Okay.
And they told maybe pizza waiting for me.
Well, you definitely deserve a pizza after this match.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was an awesome match, Valentina. It was just great to see you showing your skills so quick, so good. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in your next match.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing. Just an amazing performance by Valentina. And I just wonder, who's going to be able to keep up with her in this event? Well, we're going to have to wait to find out, because there are lots of, very strong players still left in the lineup. Let's take a look at the brackets to see who else we have to look forward to coming up.
Right, because as we mentioned, we are not sure yet who will be the opponent of Valentina. But I'm really curious to see who she'll be facing. There's 3 possible opponents. We still have to see when the match will happen between Hao Yifan and Carissa Yip. And the winner of that match will be facing Alexander Kostanyuk. And the winner of that match will be facing Valentina Gunina. So I'm really looking forward to see the development of this bracket, so we can see who Valentina will be facing. Because for now, in the Speed Chess Championship, she has been playing phenomenal chess.
Yeah, I mean, she beat someone that I thought was also like showing such good chess in the first match. So that to beat her so convincingly, like completely throwing her off her game, was a real display of skill, and just great to watch. I think we will see the match. Well, I mean, I have to give a prediction, right? I think we will very likely see a match Hao Yifan versus Gunina. Although, not to discount, of course, the Alexandra Kostanyuk, also very well known for her blitz skills. But I mean, she's going to have, I think, a tough opponent in Hao Yifan. So still, by rating, it's most statistically likely that we will see this match Gunina Hao Yifan, and that's going to be fascinating if it happens.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because Alexander Kostenik is also very experienced when it comes to online chess. So this match might still be very interesting. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see how the matches will develop. But for now, everyone, we have to finish things off. I would like to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. It was an exciting match. A lot of things happened, crazy games throughout. And thank you so much, Irina. It was a pleasure commentating with you once again.
Thank you,
And
Anna-Maya.
hope to see you guys next time.
See
This
you
was
soon, guys.
See you soon. This was the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. Goodbye.